Welcome everybody back into Nerd Sesh. As always, I'm Carson Bradburn. Alongside me is Logan Camden. And guess what, everybody? We're ranking some more shit today. It's still technically All-Star break, so there's really nothing better to do than to crank out a bunch of lists. Now, our last list, Logan, your last list really, definitely evoked some strong emotions in the people. I saw a motion, a petition for you to be put on a 3-episode suspension. Now, personally, I do not support that movement because as a true American, we support free speech here on this podcast. So Logan is going to be allowed to rank again, regardless of what he did with those top 10 scoring peaks list. Today, we're ranking something current, and it's actually something that we ranked in this past offseason, but now that we are more than halfway through this season, we're going to revisit our top 10 players under 25 to build around. So the criteria for this one, Logan, pretty simple, I think. I did not invent a new metric for this list that I'm going to have to spend 5 minutes explaining like last time. This episode should not go almost 3 hours like that last one did. It should be a little more straightforward, but why don't you explain real quick what you are considering in this list?
Yeah, I'm doing a little projection, I'd say, but not a ton. I think most importantly is like what you've shown you're capable of right now. But again, I think for some younger players, I think it is important that that you are projecting some development here. But I mean, my criteria, do I want you as my building block? I'm thinking about starting a team from scratch, from zero, with absolutely nobody on the roster, and how confident am I that you're going to be a building block for the future, that you could be a cornerstone? Like, I don't think that some of these guys on my list are all number ones. I think that's an important distinction to make, but I think that some of their skill sets are so translatable, so malleable, would fit so well, basically regardless of the guys that you put around them, that I will have them here. But I've got a lot of guys that I think would have made my list before the season started. I've got a lot of guys that have been omitted. Obviously, some guys have aged out, right? Some guys have just naturally gotten older that aren't going to be available to select on this list.
R.I.P. Tyrese Maxey. He's like 3 months too old. I would have loved to talk about him today, but he's old, dried up, washed up goods, I guess.
Damn right. So, yeah, that's the crux of it. I'm starting from scratch, and how confident am I that you could be my starting building block to build out a great team?
It's interesting you say you're not doing that much projection. I'm doing a lot of projection here because I think it's necessary when you're talking about long-term value. I'm not going to treat a 19-year-old like I am a 24-year-old who's on the eve of his 25th birthday, right? Obviously, there is a 5-6 year gap in experience and age and development there. So I think it's necessary that we project out what level we expect these guys to get to. And then normally when we do player rankings, I am pretty much a purist of how good are you? What is your value when you're on the court? In this list, though, since we are talking about these guys as, again, long-term building blocks, availability is a factor there. So if I have any injury concerns about a player, that is going to factor into things to some extent. But it's pretty simple. It's pretty much all the things that I value in a basketball player and just looking at it through this long-term lens. And then I do want to be clear, all of the players we are considering have to actively be in the NBA already. So maybe there's a fun, cheeky version of this list where we've got AJ DeBonsa and Darren Peterson and Cameron Boozer all pretty high up. I'll tell you right now, they would all be in my top 10 most prized assets of dudes under 25 right now, but it's just simplest if we keep it to guys who are already in the league, so we aren't trying to project out 16, 17-year-olds. Like, that would just be a little bit too much. So, with that being said, Logan, let's get into the honorable mentions first. Who were some of your toughest cuts here?
Yeah, I've got two guys that I feel really badly about not being able to have on my list. Number one is probably Jalen Duren, who has improved so much, and he's gotten so much better over this last season. I think he's one of the league's best rebounders and best offensive rebounders in basketball. He's such a dominant interior force, and again, to be this far along this early into his career, right? He's always been a beast on the boards, but the development we've seen this year where he's upped his scoring value and his touch on the inside, and it's not just, him putting stuff up point blank at the rim, like he's showcasing his touch a little bit. He's showing improved feel. Like, there is a part of me that wonders that if Duren just does undertake a massive skill leap and he's just I'm not talking about him, maybe stretching out to the three-point line or something like that, but, stretching out his touch a little bit more and becoming a more complete offensive player, maybe tapping into some of his playmaking capabilities more. And then defensively, I still do see a ton more upside that Duren could tap into becoming a better defender, right? He's got all the raw physical tools, but I think mentally, like positioning and actually, I think the foul trouble, and then I think just like positioning and actually being a really, really impactful rim deterrent, the way some of these guys higher up on my list, is still on the horizon and on the table for him. Again, this guy's 22 years old. Like, we can make this list for 2 more years, and if Duren keeps getting better, he's going to have an opportunity to still be on this list. I thought for sure he was going to be on my list with just what he's proven at this stage in his career, considering how young he is, but there are just younger guys that I think have more complete, valuable skill sets and other younger players that I project to be real deal offensive superstars, which I just think are a little bit more valuable than Duren in his current archetype. But I felt so badly that I couldn't get him on this list.
Yeah, Duren is just so solid. He's so efficient offensively, really good play finisher. But as you mentioned, he's got that power driving game and really good short-range touch, and he's a good free throw generator and a good free throw shooter, an elite offensive rebounder. And then he is a plus defender. He's been a little bit more disciplined, a little more effective as a rim protector this year. Ultimately, though, I do think there are bigs who are more versatile offensive players and significantly better defenders. Like, most of the bigs who I'm considering for this list are pretty much elite impact defensive players, because for the most part, it's going to be the wings, the perimeter players who are generating more offensive value. And so Duren, although he's very good on both sides of the floor, doesn't quite have that elite two-way value that would be needed to get him on this list. I'll shout out another big man who I don't know if he's going to be on your list. I think he would be on most people's list. I do not have Alperen Sengun, Logan. Did he make your list?
Yeah, I don't have Sengun either, and I'm going to be honest, I didn't think that hardly about Sengun. Sengun, his touch problem is such a serious issue to me, and his just inability to put the ball in the basket is a real deal problem. When I think about you maximizing your skill set, that's just such a significant hurdle that I think Sengun needs to conquer before I'm ready to put him on lists like this.
It's disappointing because I have not been a Sengun guy. I mean, we've pretty much had the same criticisms of him over the years. Clearly a very talented player, but what does actually building a really good team and a really good team offense around him look like? It's always been very funky because he has some of these core flaws, but I'm disappointed just because he was so clearly playing the best basketball of his career early this season. Since January 1st, though, last 20 games, 18 points per game on 52% true shooting, and the bottom line numbers at the end of the day just leave me completely unmoved. The bottom line production, he is an impactful offensive player. You always have to contextualize, okay, he's got this very ugly efficiency for a center, but also he's being asked to create at massive volume. He's one of the lead ball handlers for this team. He's the lead playmaker for this team. So very uniquely difficult offensive responsibilities, and their offense is 4 points per 100 possessions better with him on the court. That being said, it just comes down to the major scoring efficiency issues that he does have. What I've always said with Sengun is he looks the part in terms of the footwork, in terms of the body control, right? The arsenal of moves, and he's ultimately just not nearly good enough at actually putting the ball in the basket. He's a below average rim finisher for a center. 43% in the paint outside the restricted area. That's the range that he lives from more than any other. Again, he can get to those shots pretty much whenever he wants, but he doesn't make them at an efficient enough clip for it to actually be good offense. And then you have the complete lack of jump shooting, where he's 35% from the mid-range at low volume, under 30% from three. The issues converting free throw opportunities into points because he's under 70% from the line. I just think all of the touch and shooting indicators with him are really, really bad. He's completely stagnated on all of those fronts. And so at the end of the day, it's like, yes, he's a very gifted passer, but he isn't a super quick processor. He can be absolutely a ball stopper, somebody who you have to operate through the high post with him a lot. And at the end of the day, he's just not efficient enough to actually lead to good team offense when you have to play through him in that way, because he's not going to bring you any floor spacing value. He's not going to bring you any play finishing value because he just has athletic limitations there. And then at the end of the day, it's like 55% true shooting from your center. I just don't see why at this point we'd expect the shooting or the touch finishing to get better. And so, yeah, this like high post volume, low efficiency, kind of ball stopping, talented big man for sure, but I just think sometimes people hit him with comparisons to players who are way, way out of his league. I mean, obviously, Jokic is the one who stands out, who is just magnitudes better for so many reasons. But offensively, I'm just not very high on Şengün. And then defensively, I think he's regressed on that end this year. And Logan, by the way, I want to give you some props for leaving Şengün off your all-star team. I mean, when we made those picks in early January or whatever, I think you saw into the crystal ball a bit maybe, because I really think he has struggled most from that point on both sides of the floor. I mean, I mentioned the offense has been ugly, but the defense has been especially rough over those last 1.5 months. He was decent defensively last year, but when you have below average size and athleticism for your position, still the most important defensive position on the court, you need to be fully bought in, right? You need to be maxing out what you can bring with effort, with defensive instincts. He just hasn't been doing that this year. I mean, we've seen Ime Udoka publicly call him out, as the Rockets as a whole have just been dropping like a rock, man, and I'm going to drop them significantly when we do our next contender rankings. I just think the half-court offense is so ugly. I don't trust Şengün nearly enough to deliver efficiently in that context. We'll talk about Amen Thompson at some point today. He has not improved really as an offensive player whatsoever from last year, and the defense hasn't been as great as I thought it would be. I mean, since January 1st, they're 16th in net rating, 25th in offensive rating. Offense has been really, really bad after it was really, really great to start this year. But when I think about some of the guys who do slot in to the 9-10 spots, really the back end of my list, it's just much easier for me to see a lot of these versatile wings fitting into a team context than it is Şengün, when I'm like, Şengün with his rigidity forces you to build around him on both ends in a certain way that I don't think is conducive to actually reaching like very high heights as a team.
Well said. The next guy that I have off my list made both of our lists last time we did this, and I also feel really bad about leaving him off of this one. I have J-Dub off of my list, and
wow.
Yeah, I know that's a hot take, and I know we have both been longtime J-Dub advocates, and the thing that I struggle with most about this is just the fact that this is clearly the worst year of his career, right? Like, he's been struggling with injury, struggling to get healthy, and it's just been really ugly. And I'm not going to do this referendum on J-Dub, but what I will say, it's more of an archetypal argument. I think J-Dub's best trait is what he can do defensively for a basketball team, his versatility on that end, the way that he can defend 1 through 5, the way he can defend on the perimeter, defend on the post, defend the rim. He's awesome there, but I just do see real offensive issues with him this season. And again, I am going to cut him some slack, and I'm going to cut him some grace. I still believe in J-Dub. I still think he is a winning basketball player, and he can be a very important cog. Obviously, we saw it on a championship team. I mean, the guy dropped 40 points in an NBA Finals game, right? Mm-hmm. That's stating the obvious. But when I look at other guys, I think he may be – I think he's one of the most limited offensive players that would have been in my top 10. And I think there are other guys that have more clear avenues to easier offense. There are other guys that are defensive anchors in the way that J-Dub isn't. Duren and Dub were by far the toughest two guys that I had to leave off of my list. And it's basically me just souring a little bit more on J-Dub's offensive game and how he struggles in ways that other guys where I can put the ball in his hand. And I'm going to be intentionally vague when I'm bringing up these guys, but there are guys on my list that I can put the ball in their hands in the half court, and they're going to make great decisions and find open guys. They're going to get to better looks more consistently than J-Dub. There are other guys on my list that I feel like I could drop into any offensive system, and they are going to thrive because of the malleability and portability of their skill set. So I agonized over it. I wanted to find a spot for Dub, but this – and again, I don't think this is Dub at his apex. I think Dub is going to look better than this. I think he is going to bounce back, but – when we're talking about him improvement, I just wonder if there are some hard cap kind of limitations with his offensive game.
I understand being low on J-Dub's offense right now. I still had to have him on my list, though, because I do value his versatility so much. I truly believe he's one of the most versatile basketball players on the planet when it comes to delivering elite defensive value with crazy matchup versatility, with off-ball defensive value that he brings. And then offensively, absolutely in the half court, things can get rough for him, both as a self-creator and also, I mean, as a catch and shoot guy, J-Dub has been struggling for a long time now, and we really can't overlook that. I mean, it felt like for a time, oh, this is a guy who's going to shoot close to 40% from three. His second year, he was almost 43% from deep. His last 100 games, he is a 33.3% three-point shooter. So that diminishes his off-ball scoring value, but when he's bringing you top 15 defender on the planet kind of value on that end, when he's bringing you the elite transition value, when he has the playmaking feel and ultimately the on-ball highs that he has with the off-ball feel as a cutter, he just does so many things that I really do like. In terms of half-court offensive creation, yes, he can have ugly moments, but I just think when you look at what he was able to deliver in a playoff environment, in a title run last year, the Memphis series where he was arguably probably the best player in that series. It was honestly either him or Chet. They were both fantastic. The Minnesota series where he was so damn good and he was efficient offensively. And then Indiana. I mean, the guy scored 40 points in a final game and overall I thought was really damn good in that series. So you always have the possibility of like what happened with J-Dub in the first 6 games of the Denver series offensively last year, which was really ugly, right? But then he snapped into form in Game 7 and overall I think had a good playoff run and delivered that level of versatile value that not that many other dudes can, that ultimately just makes me really confident in him being a winning basketball player. J-Dub really excels at the winning stuff, and he's proven it on a really big stage. So I do have him on my list. One of my toughest cuts, Logan, honestly, I knew this guy wasn't going to make it because there are just other players who have progressed this year. While I do feel like this guy has really stagnated, I did have to leave my darling boy Amen off. And at just 23 years old in his 3rd year, hopefully he can continue to progress. But I've been super high on him because I think he is the most gifted raw athlete in the game right now. And I think he pairs that with really high IQ, high feel, high effort basketball traits, where this is a guy who's pretty much going to make the most out of all that A+ athleticism that he has. And he's going to do so much good stuff out there because of it. He's an elite offensive rebounder. He is an elite cutter. He's an excellent transition scorer. He's really a gifted passer, and the assist numbers are the one thing that's gone up for him this year. I think that's more so just increased usage. I think he's always been an extremely gifted passer since he was a prospect. And then he's a stellar defender. I don't know that he's been quite as elite on that side of the ball this year as last year, but still very, very good. So that's all the stuff that gives Amen, a really high floor in terms of his impact over an 82-game regular season, where even with this F- jump shot, he's giving you 18, 7.5, 5.5 on 57% true shooting. The team is still markedly better with him on the court, and they're still a good basketball team overall. Like, I do really like Amen, and I do believe in him. I just think there are other guys who, again, have really progressed and even taken leaps this year. And for Amen to be on this list, the perimeter shot just has to be respectable, and there have to be indications that it's going to get respectable. I've always said the bar for Amen to be an elite basketball player is him being a mediocre jump shooter, him being a below average jump shooter, like just to the point where if you completely go under, he can hold you accountable enough with a decently efficient wide open pull-up 3, with a decently efficient mid-range pull-up. And last year, he improved as a jump shooter from where he was at the year before. He was a bad jump shooter still, but he was at 0.76 points per jump shot. This year, 0.59 points per jumper. He has gone from horrible as a rookie to bad as a second-year guy, but again, making some improvements, to really, really horrible this year. And it felt like, especially late last year, he got in a groove where he was getting more comfortable with that mid-range game. That's been worse this year. It's been really bad. The three-pointer is still a shot he should never, ever take, even if left wide open in the corner. And that's the concern, right? What defenses are able to do in terms of roaming off of him off ball, how defenses are able to scheme around his complete lack of over-the-top shot making when he is on ball. Like, again, he still is able to carve out value in so many ways, but that's pretty much the biggest offensive concern a perimeter player can have, and a men's level of concern there is about as high as it can be. The jumper mechanics are still just so rough. And like, he has good touch in certain areas, right? He shoots over 50% on runners. He's almost 80% on free throws this year. I really don't think it is a pure touch thing. I think it is just the lack of fluid, consistent mechanics as a jump shooter. So yeah, I look at some of the other like big ball handler, athletic, versatile wings where coming into the year, I might have said Amen has the higher ceiling because, I mean, he has such A++ athletic traits. He's such an elite defender. He does so many things on the margins, and he's such a gifted passer. If the scoring game improves, he can reach the highest heights. But again, there's just other guys who have taken those leaps as scorers and have just given me more confidence in their half-court offensive value. So really all I wanted to see this year from Amen was progress, right? It's never going to happen overnight with him, but I just don't think we've seen progress this year. I'm still a believer, but not enough to get him in my top 10 right now.
Yeah, I left Amen off as well for the exact same reasons. And if he does put it together, I mean, I think Amen's value skyrockets. Like, I mean, he is just an unstoppable force, but you got to see him put it together. And it's still a significant flaw. Like you're saying, teams are just able to game plan around it, and that's a really big flaw that, I mean, specifically in this Houston offense, really exacerbates every single one of their issues. But in any context, teams would exploit in a high stakes environment. So,
right,
Amen was on my list last year. He also does not make it this year.
And look, the guy is so exceptional athletically that you look at what he did in the second half of that Warriors series, and it's like all of these same flaws were true, and he was still able to produce, again, over those last 4 games, I mean, 20 points per game really efficiently in a playoff environment against a really good defense. But the bar to get into the top 10 is really high. I do think he has a bigger red flag with that just complete F- shooting than anybody who did make my list. Similarly, I guess, I mean, it's not that bad. I do have Dylan Harper as an honorable mention. I think he was one of my toughest cuts coming into the year when we did this list. I still think he is an extremely gifted downhill paint guard and a really good passer, and he's got the physical tools to be a plus defender. I really like Dylan Harper, but I am very concerned about the perimeter shot. He's really struggled to make those outside jumpers. So just guys who have proven more, absolutely, and guys who maybe don't have a single concern that stands out like that. There's one guy who I think is the elephant in the room. He was on my list coming into the year. I think I had him number 8. I've never been high on this guy. I've always been, I would say, relatively critical of him. I didn't even consider Paolo Banchero for my list this time around, like truly.
Neither did I. I mean, everything that we've been saying about Paolo for the last 3 years, that has just been a downward trajectory, and every concern has been proven valid and true, and it has not improved at all. I was playing 2K with my friends last night, and I was trying to hit this one Paolo animation that's super glitchy, and instead of actually hitting the animation, I missed a mid-range jumper and clanged it off the front iron. I said, damn it, my bad, y'all. I was trying to hit the Paolo animation. And then one of my friends said, I think you did. And
yeah, they cooked.
You know, that sums it up, man. I mean, he's 6'10", 250, a fucking freight train, and he wants to play like Carmelo Anthony, man. Like, I know you were geeking on me that one episode, man, but like effort is such a big deal to me with basketball players, and Paolo really has shown a lack of interest of really applying himself defensively and on the glass the way a bull in a china shop, the way he's built, should be in those physical aspects of the game. And really, again, the biggest issue is that insistence or lack of insistence of getting downhill and imposing his will on the game. I still believe Paolo has all the tools he needs in his bag. It is all mental. It is all about how he plays the game, and he just doesn't get it.
I think absolutely his decision-making sucks, and that comes to his shot selection. I also think, I mean, he has completely stagnated as a passer over the years. I think when you talk about overall basketball IQ and commitment to actually driving impact, the fact that he's always been such a mediocre defender with the tools he has on that side of the ball, like, that's super disappointing. And again, it is very clear at this point why this is the 4th straight year when the Magic are markedly worse with Paolo on the court compared to off it. You just don't have negative impact like that year over year if you're actually delivering star value. The one thing that I truly think Paolo does not have in his tool bag, though, is jump shooting whatsoever, right? Like, I mean, we've seen stretches from him where it's like, ooh, look at that difficult shot that he just made. Look at the footwork. But this dude has been so egregiously bad as a jump shooter this year that his shot selection is still bad. It has been better this year, though, right? I would say his shot selection has probably gone from F in previous years to like a D this year. He is actually getting to the rim and to the line at a bit of a higher rate where he is far and away most effective as a scorer. The problem is he still likes taking those jumpers a lot. And when he takes them, he is by so far the worst volume jump shooter in the NBA, Logan. There are 60 other players who have taken at least 180 pull-up jumpers this year. The worst effective field goal percentage of anybody other than Paolo on those shots with that volume is 40%. 40%. Paolo is at an effective field goal percentage of 31.5. I think it was actually Wemby, but that's on pull-up jumpers, so chill on my goat. I mean, he's been striping it off the catch. Yeah. 31.5% is Paolo's effective field goal percentage on pull-up jumpers, 8.5% worse than any of the other 60 players with comparable volume.
Man, if I was his coach, I would tell him to never shoot a pull-up jumper again, bruh.
It's literally like, and look, obviously we understand that Paolo has reached higher heights than this as a jump shooter, although he's always been a very inefficient jump shooter. This year is definitely the worst it's ever been, but like that efficiency, bro, it's literally like when Giannis used to take like 5 threes a game. You remember that?
It's like Charles Barkley taking a 3, man. Why the fuck are you even shooting that shit?
It literally is some of the worst shot selection, even though, again, like there comes a point where, I mean, he has to have some counter to keep defenses honest, right? He can't just literally get downhill every single possession, but there's a complete lack of counter there because he shoots 36% from mid-range and he shoots 29% from 3 and worse than that on pull-ups, and he's a bad decision maker and he's a mediocre defender. So I'm just totally off Paolo. He's not somebody I would want on my basketball team. There's such a big difference between how you talk about a 20-year-old and a 23-year-old. And this was always my thing with Paolo, right? I was like, a lot of people are projecting what they think he will be and saying that's how good he is now. And you have to be realistic about how good a player is right now, but you also don't want to treat a 20-year-old like a finished product and say, oh, all these flaws that are making him less effective right now are going to remain in his game forever. But with Paolo, they really have, right? Like so much of in how you evaluate a guy once they're in year 4, year 5 is, are you progressing or are you stagnating or regressing? Paolo is best case scenario stagnating, possibly regressing. The shot making absolutely has regressed in a big way this year. And bro, it's a big sample size. We're talking about 43 games in from a guy who takes 5 pull-up jumpers a game, and he's just absolutely bricking.
The thing that's most disappointing is just how few and far between and fleeting those really high moments have been, right? Like the Cavs series where he was blistering as a pull-up jump shooter. And I remember after that, I was like, yo, I think this guy's going to be one of the best jump shooters on the planet one day. Because, I mean, like, holy shit, the level of difficulty, the spacing issues that Orlando had. And then he comes out and, you know, what did he drop a 50 burger on the Indiana Pacers? And then, you know, he gets hurt right after that. But, I mean, like, those are the two. That's it. Like, those are the only 2 moments that I can point to where I was like, all right, man, I could really see it with Paolo. And, like, we still knew what he needed to fix and what he needed to address and how he needed to change his play style.
Yeah.
But it just never happened. And I agree with you. I think I gave him the benefit of the doubt for way too long, where I was just mentally willing to fill in the blanks because it's like, oh, he's young. He's playing on a team that has really bad spacing and not a whole lot of other creators and shooters. Like, oh, can I really fault the guy? Yes, we can. I mean, they went out and they got Desmond Bane, man. They've got a guy that in Franz Wagner has consistently been better without Paolo. The team has been better with Franz without Paolo every single year. Like
by so much, dude. I mean, last 4 years, the net swing between when Franz is on without Paolo to when Paolo is on without Franz is 13 points. When Franz is on without Paolo, they're almost a +7 net team. They are very good. When Paolo is on without Franz, they're a -6 net team. Like years and years of this repeated pattern. And look, when we talk about years and years of this pattern, Paolo has consistently been pretty much the least efficient volume scorer in basketball. He's consistently been the least efficient volume jump shooter in basketball. But this year, as the standard has gotten higher because situations have improved and he is a year older, the fact that the jump shooting is worse than ever, the efficiency is as bad as ever, all this stuff, he's still as deeply flawed a basketball player as ever. Yes, there's a world where he figures it out and he gets to a solid level as a jump shooter and he gets better as a passer and he starts to care about defense. Personally, though, when you show me year after year that you don't make a single fraction of an inch of progress in any of those areas, there comes a point where I'm judging you for who you are, and I am no longer going to give you the benefit of the doubt or be optimistic when there are other players who are lapping you, who are progressing, who are getting better at stuff. Again, I just don't want to be in the Paolo business whatsoever right now. So he was a very, very easy cut for me, which 2 years ago, again, even though I've never been like high on Paolo, that would have really surprised me to know that I wasn't even really considering him for this list. I have 2 more shout outs. I mean, these guys were way outside, but shout out to Stephon Castle and Alex Sarr. Both of them, I think, I just have too big of offensive questions. I mean, with Castle, I really, really have questions about the perimeter shot. That concerns me. I mean, looking this year at how he's going to perform in a playoff environment and just down the line throughout his career, that's going to be the biggest thing that he has to figure out. And then with Sarr, I mean, I just see the path, like the elite rim protection, the defensive switchability and versatility, the offensive play finishing. He's improved so much as an inside the arc scorer. He's got good feel as a short roll passer. It's probably going to come down to how consistent is the jumper with him. And ultimately, like, there are just a couple bigs in that mold who I definitely think are just better, more talented, more impactful. But Sarr's had a really good second year. And so for this draft class that has been sort of much maligned, I think those are the 2 guys who have emerged as the best long-term talents, the 2 guys who I think have the upside to be considered in these conversations.
Definitely.
But ultimately, those are kind of stretching the honorable mentions here. Logan, I'm going to be honest with you. I have not decided who I'm going to go with in my 10 spot.
Ooh, interesting.
I have a dead heat to the point where, like, I was pulling my hair out, and I'm just going to call this one on the spot. So we'll see if you have both these guys on your list, one of your guys on this list. I don't know. Who's in your 10 spot?
I already know. We're going to have very different lists today. I can already tell you that off rip. My number 10 spot, I had to get this guy on here. And, again, him versus J-Dub in his archetype versus Dub's archetype was very hard for me to decide between, but I went with Kon Knueppel here in my 10 spot, and I think he deserves to be on here. Again, the key distinction that I was making with Dub was my issues with him offensively in the half court. I think you could drop Kon Knueppel on any team, and he would be doing exactly what he's doing right now. He is the man offensively. Yeah. I love watching Kon play. It is so easy. It is so effortless. Beautiful cover girl, man. Like, holy shit, dude. Kon is awesome. He has got some of the best touch, I think, in the league already as a 20-year-old. Some of the best touch I've ever seen from basically every single level on the court. The guy's giving you this season 19 points per game, 5.5 boards, and 3.5 assists on 48, 43, 90 splits, 64.6% true shooting. I mentioned this earlier in the year. It still stands true. He has the highest true shooting percentage of any 15-point-per-game rookie in NBA history, and the percentages are just staggering. He's a 42.5% catch-and-shooter. He's a 49% pull-up jump shooter. He's shooting 63% in the restricted area, 54% in the paint non-restricted area. He's got good positional size. He's a good positional rebounder. Like, my only criticism is that he's a slower white honky. Like, he's just not that athletic. I mean, point blank period. The guy is as skilled as they come offensively. And again, my favorite aspect of his game is how it comes within the flow of the offense. I never feel like Kon is forcing the issue. I never feel like he's doing too much. He's a very high IQ, high feel guy in terms of how he swings the ball around the horn, finds open players, his ability to relocate and just find open space. He's got great feel. He's got great touch. I think he's already one of the best shooters in the league today. And again, he's doing this as a rookie, man. You know, I don't know how much better he can do than this. Like, maybe if he is in a better situation, maybe guys can find him in his spots easier. Like, I just say this to say, I don't know how much more efficient the guy can get. Like, he's already one of the most efficient scorers in basketball. Like, yeah, he's unbelievable. I think he brings such an easy element of half-court offense to my basketball team. Great decision maker. Again, a good positional rebounder, decent size, and he's as pure of a shooter as they come. If you're starting a team, I know what I'm getting with Kon. I just think he is such a sure thing. Again, him versus Dub is a debate, and I'm going to make a debate for a guy in a similar archetype to Dub higher than Kon because of some of Kon's athletic limitations. So, again, it was really hard deciding between those two guys to me, and I definitely would hear the argument that Jalen Williams affects the game in more ways than Kon Knueppel does. And I hear that. My response would just be Kon is a monstrous half-court offensive weapon, and I want the guy on my team, man. He's a beast, and I love watching him play.
If we were purely ranking these players offensively as long-term building blocks, how high do you go with Kon? I think he is an absolute lock for top 5.
Yeah, I was going to say you could maybe – I would hear the argument. He's a lot top 5, and I would hear an argument maybe top 3.
I would absolutely hear an argument for top 3. What I'm debating is, would I hear the cheekiest of arguments for number 1? And probably not, just because there are other guys who, as on-ball offensive engines, if it's just like truly elite on-ball scoring value or a scoring playmaking combo, they're going to deliver more overall value than Kon, I would say. But man, the guy is an absolutely ridiculous offensive talent. I think one of the best offensive rookies we've seen this century. One of the best rookies we've seen overall this century. I have him at number 8 on my list, Logan. Like, when I think about him versus the guys who I have in my 9, 10 spots, the guys who I'm considering in that range, I mean, he is just such a substantially better offensive talent. And legitimately, I think already clearly a better offensive player than, I'll just reveal the names who are in that range, like a Scottie Barnes, a Franz Wagner, a Jalen Johnson. I would rather drop Kon into my offense today than any of those guys. And when I think about what he can be, like, it's honestly pretty easy for me to see Kon averaging an extremely efficient 25 plus points per game with this elite off-ball value that makes him so easy to slot into any offense alongside any other group of players, guys who need the ball in their hands, and he can just enhance any offense so much. And then he's also got the basketball feel and the passing feel that you're talking about. I just think this guy looks like he's going to be the best three-point shooter of a post-Steph Curry NBA to me. Like, I truly think we are looking at an all-time shooting talent. What he is doing as a rookie, getting up 8 attempts a game, making 43% of them, I mean, that is not just completely unparalleled among rookies. It's one of the greatest three-point shooting seasons in NBA history when you consider that combination of volume and efficiency and the variety he has as a shooter, where he makes the most out of that shooting value in every way. Handoffs, he's lethal. Being used as a screener, it's one of my favorite things. I already think Kon Knueppel screening for LaMelo Ball is one of the most lethal actions in the NBA because of what he can do as a shooter, because of what he can do even as a short roller, where he's got that touch shot making, and then he's got the passing field to be able to distribute if he gets any sort of 4-on-3, what he can do as a movement shooter off of screens in transition. And I mean, just as a pull-up shooter, dude, it's ridiculous. 62% effective field goal percentage on catch and shoot jumpers, 62% effective field goal percentage on pull-up jumpers. He is a truly monstrous shooting talent.
Damn, he doubled Paolo up.
He doubled Paolo up, bro. He actually did. He doubled Paolo up. And the company that he's already in, when it comes to the combination of scoring efficiency that he has, obviously mostly predicated upon what he does from beyond the arc, but if you look at all players to ever shoot 56% or better on two-pointers with at least 5 two-point attempts per game and 43% on three-pointers with at least 6 attempts per game, that entire club, Logan, Steph Curry, Kevin Durant, Michael Porter Jr., Zach LaVine, all those guys just did this one time, by the way, and rookie Kon Knueppel. I think there's a real world in which he is the best off-ball offensive player in the NBA down the line, and already on-ball, he's a 77th percentile pick-and-roll creator. I mean, he is, again, a lethal pull-up shooter. He's so crafty. He plays with such this self-assured pace that he's able to work his way into the mid-range. I mean, even as you said, like a good crafty rim finisher. And then once he gets into the paint, like, he is a really gifted passer, dude. He's got the size to see over top of people. He can make skip passes. He's a good kick-out passer. Like, he's just got such an incredible offensive skill set. And then He does have the solid rebounding value. He can hold his own on defense. But really, when I get this combination of A++ shooting with good size, with great craft, with really good feel and basketball IQ, I think this is going to be one of the best offensive players in basketball. I'm blown away by him. I truly am. Like, I liked him as a prospect. But if you told me, hey, 6 months from now, you're going to rather have Kon Knueppel than Dylan Harper, and it's not really like that much of a consideration, that would have really surprised me. But Kon is just showing incredible offensive value right now and long-term potential. The one knock of him would be more specifically than unathletic honky. It's specifically like, okay, how is he going to look in a playoff setting against elite athletic switching defenses where they can take away some of his more comfortable scoring opportunities out of pick and roll? Maybe they force him to beat them a bit more on an island as a scorer. But the thing that I say to that is, like, you can just deploy him off ball so much that he'll still deliver real big time value there, right? Like, this isn't somebody who is really reliant on his pick and roll scoring to begin with. It's a part of his arsenal, but I mean, he's delivering value in so many different ways out there that I do think he's kind of impervious to matchup, right? Like, there's no switch everything defense that is going to flawlessly handle every off-ball switch, and Kon isn't going to get the slivers of space that he needs to knock down a shot off the move or to use that to get a step and get inside the lane where the touch is so good and the passing is really good. Yeah, I guess I'm even a little bit higher on him than you. We can question what the absolute ceiling is, but I don't know. For a rookie to be this good offensively, it's a really rare, special thing. He's 20 years old, so I've got him in my 8th spot.
And yet I couldn't I couldn't fix your dilemma here at this 10 spot. So are you still debating on who's going to be here?
Yeah, man. I guess I'm still on my own in this one. I'm caught between Franz Wagner and Jalen Johnson. Both, I mean, basically the exact same age, same draft class. Franz is 24 and a half. Jalen is 24.2 years old. I am conflicted here because I am more confident in what Franz looks like offensively in a half-court playoff sort of environment.
Really?
I am, because I think he is such an elite half-court driver. I think the combination of change in pace, footwork with his size, his length, and then this remarkable finishing touch and skill that he has, he's such an elite downhill driver. That's made him effective in playoff environments, even when he can't make a fucking jumper. And then that is the concern with him, right? What level of jump shooter is he going to be? It's been better from him this season. He's 41% on catch and shoot threes, which obviously is certainly not enough for me to say over this sample of 26 games, oh my God, he solved his problems there. But it is a good sign considering really the only knock on Franz over the last 2 years was the guy is hovering around 30% from three in the regular season and had some even bigger struggles in the playoffs. But I feel so confident in his downhill driving. He's a really gifted passer, more so than the raw assist numbers reflect, because compared to a guy like Jalen Johnson, he just doesn't have the ball in his hands nearly as much. And then in terms of pick and roll efficiency, 93rd percentile as a creator, which is ridiculous. Extremely low turnover player, which I love. I mean, his ball handling at his size is ridiculous. 1.7 turnovers a game, while he's giving you 21, 6, and 4 on 59% true shooting. And he's great in transition, and he's a plus defender. And we've seen how good the Magic have been as a team when they just empower Franz to do more. And again, they have him out there without Paolo. Like, he's so good. He's been hurt a lot this year. And again, the jump shooting issues have been real for him, but they've been better this year. He's been a better jump shooter. And I do think he's kind of in for a redemption arc. Like, I can see the Magic sneaking into the playoffs this year, which they're going to do, right? And maybe they're the 6th seed or the 7th seed or whatever. And I think that Franz has enough polish as a half-court scorer to, like, be able to carve teams up. I mean, it's really difficult to keep him out of the paint. And once he gets there, he's a very efficient scorer. He's a good foul drawer. He makes his free throws at a really high rate. He's a really good passer. My concerns with Jalen Johnson, even though the box score production with him is obviously much more eye-popping at this point, right? I mean, 23, 10.5, and 8 on 59% true shooting. When you talk about these guys as half-court offensive engines, what concerns me with Jalen Johnson is the handle is still not great. And I mean, for his height, it's quite good. But when you're talking about primary ball handler in a playoff setting, I absolutely think people can make him uncomfortable there. And so they can make him a less effective driver than Franz, who is so efficient and controlled in his movements that he's pretty much going to get into the paint when he wants. And then really inconsistent over-the-top shot making with Jalen Johnson, even more so than Franz, I would say. Those are my concerns. I think that can get sketchy as a formula for a guy who you're really relying on. I worry about teams putting an elite perimeter defender on him who can bother his handle, who can stick with him, because he doesn't have the sort of first step where he's going to blow past you. And then teams that can show aggressive gap help, teams that can play off of him and like try to force him to beat you as a jump shooter. I just think there's more ways to force Jalen Johnson into a rough playoff series than Franz. And also, I do think that Franz is the better defender. I think that's something that maybe doesn't get talked about enough with Jalen Johnson, how much his defensive value has decreased as his offensive load has increased. He's still okay defensively because of his size and athleticism, but really not doing much out there, pretty low effort. But also, I see the case for Jalen and just the overall volume he's been able to take on. I mean, what he does in transition, where he's a damn good scorer and passer. He's a pretty elite downhill passer overall. And he does have some shooting touch that he's been able to show this year more so than previously, right? Like he's got that little runner game that he's pretty good at. He's 43% on 2-point jumpers overall, so he's been decent there. 35% from three. He really has no pull-up three-point shooting game, but he's been 40% on catch-and-shoot threes, which is low volume, but still, that's a good number, obviously. He's been good from the line, and then I do like his play finishing more than Franz, because he's been a solid catch-and-shooter, and then he does bring that value as a good cutter and a really explosive rim finisher. Franz has good cutting feel, too, but I just think Jalen is even a little bit more effective there. And, I mean, he is a versatile offensive player, right? We've seen him wear a lot of different hats. He's just been asked more so to be like a primary ball handler, jumbo point guard kind of type this year. I think I'm going to go with Jalen Johnson because I think the ceiling is higher because I think he's progressed so much this year, whereas Franz is pretty much the same player that he's been. But I don't know, man. It's really, really close. And if you say, okay, gun to your head, who do you trust more this year in the playoffs? I hope we see them both get bounced in the first round because that's what's going to happen if they make it. But I hope we get to see them both in a playoff series so we can see this tested. I think I'm still a good bit more confident in Franz being able to get his as a scorer.
Yeah, I have Jalen Johnson in my 9 spot. I think he belongs on this list. The deciding factor for him versus Dub and Wagner is the size, the athleticism, and the imposition. Like, I just think Jalen Johnson can just get to his spots a little bit more easily. Like,
really? Then Franz in the half court? I don't agree.
Franz is cool. I see Jalen Johnson actually becoming a good jump shooter in a way that I'm just not confident with Franz. I like Jalen Johnson's footwork. I like his mechanics. I get that you're not seeing it. I know it's not reflected in the percentages. This is not a numbers debate. I like the fluidity with which I think Jalen Johnson is just scratching the surface of what he's capable of. Mm-hmm. He is a way more talented passer, in my opinion, than Franz. Like, he blows my mind sometimes during games with the accuracy and the velocity and the angles that he has because of his height. You know, I'm talking cross court, full court. I think he's a better. I agree with you. I think he's regressed a little bit as a defender, but I think he's better at ending possessions. He is a really impactful rebounder.
The rebounding value for sure.
And again, the physical imposition. Like, I agree with you. I think both of these guys have. I think Jalen has more issues in the half court, but I think he's a more complete player. And I just see him. I know I said that I actually, ironically, even though I said I'm not doing a ton of projection, I actually think my list is going to have more projection than yours now that I'm looking at it and I'm hearing some of the guys that aren't going to be on your list. I do see it with Jalen. I think that Jalen, like that little floater kind of, bank shot runner thing he does from both sides near the baseline, like he can kind of get to that effortlessly, and it's just a matter of, is he going to put the right touch on it to bank it in? Again, I agree with you on some of these concerns. I think he has some half-court stuff to figure out, but I'm more confident in him solving his shortcomings than I am with Franz. While I believe that, I also think that Jalen Johnson is just such a supreme athlete to Franz, and I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt with that. Also, this really isn't Franz's fault, but the fact that he hasn't been available this year also,
Yeah.
I give the nod to Jalen. But I had to get Jalen Johnson on here, man. I know he's 24. I think he's far from a finished product. I think he's going to continue to get better and better.
I think that's the reason that I have him above Franz. It's not about who's better right now. It's about who is progressing more rapidly. And Franz obviously has made improvements, but has been a similar player for, I don't want to say 4 years, because he's gotten better over that time. But if you compare where Franz was at year 2 to where Jalen Johnson was at, where it's like, we knew Franz was already in these conversations. Jalen Johnson was like barely scratching the rotation, and Jalen Johnson has just gotten better and better and better year after year. I think when it comes down to the size, athletic ceiling you have, I mean, the extent to which he fills up the box score is ridiculous. And again, that's not the most important thing to me, but the rebounding value is legitimate. I think Franz is a really good passer. I mean, Franz making skip passes and interior passes, he's really gifted. But obviously the assist numbers with Jalen Johnson, probably the total playmaking value is a little bit higher. I'm just going to go to bat for Franz because I think he's really, really good, and I want to have my Franz stock right now. I mean, I think he is much better than Paolo. And I understand what you're saying about the health, although Jalen Johnson has had his health issues. You know, if you look at 2024, 2025, both those seasons ended early. I think it's going to be the upside of Jalen Johnson that moves me. And ultimately, the criticisms I do have of Johnson are somewhat applicable to Franz, too, when it comes to over-the-top shot making. Both these guys are going to excel most as paint scorers. Both of them have really strong runner games. Both of them are good finishers at the basket. I do think the difference in ball handling and protecting the basketball is a substantial advantage for Franz. That's where I really do like him. I do think, yeah, he's just a bit more polished as a half-court offensive player right now, but for the reasons that we've laid out, I think as a long-term bet, there's probably more upside with Jalen Johnson, and he's already really good. So I've always been a Jalen Johnson guy. I've always been an advocate of his. I mean, for years and years, I've thought he's an immense talent. I'm just also a Franz believer. Both these guys are kind of my guys, but I had to leave one of them off, and Franz is going to be the odd man out. So Jalen Johnson is in your 9 spot. I got another big do-it-all wing in my 9 spot, and that is Scottie Barnes. Are we going to see him on your list, Logan? Oh.
No, I do not have Scottie. I've been super impressed with Scottie this year, especially with what he's been able to do defensively, but I'm less confident in Scottie figuring out some of these offensive issues.
The thing with Scottie, because I have not been a Scottie guy, because I think he's a clunky offensive player, always has been, always will be, but the reason that I was a little bit lower on him than most over the last couple years, maybe, I don't know about than most, but then the Scottie optimists, is because I didn't think he was maxing out his defensive value. And that's always been his greatest talent as a player, dating back to when he was a prospect. I thought that was the main selling point. And in recent years, he's had a big offensive load, but again, he hasn't been very efficient, hasn't been a polished offensive player. And I think that offensive load has made it so he's been a good, not great defensive player, ultimately not enough to move me. And let me be clear, I think that Franz is a better offensive player than Scottie Barnes. I think that Jalen Johnson is a better offensive player than Scottie Barnes. I think Scottie Barnes is absolutely sensational defensively now, though. And that's where I think, he just totally clears those guys on that side of the ball. And I'm going to give him the nod here. Offensively, the numbers are still pretty good. 19, 8.5, 5.5 on 58% true shooting. Again, it just does come down to the fact that he can do a little bit of everything as a scorer and as an offensive player. He's pretty average at a lot, though. He's a good finisher at the rim, but not like an elite functional half-court driver. He's got decent intermediate touch. He's unfortunately just an eternal 30% three-point shooter. 2 times in recent years, he's had a really good start to the year as a three-point shooter, and he always just regresses to this point in the low 30s. So I'm not really optimistic at all about him getting better at that. But then he does enough positive stuff offensively. Really good in transition, good cutter, very good offensive rebounder, doing a little bit more as a roller this year as he's playing with more other true ball handlers. And far and away his best offensive attribute is his passing. When he's on the ball, when he's making some of those connective reads, just a super high feel, really good passer with a lot of angles available to him at his size. And so I think on both sides of the ball, really, taking some more off his plate as a scorer has made him, I would say, marginally better offensively. At least it's kind of reduced the amount of stuff that he has to do that he's not very good at. Probably made him a little bit more efficient overall as an offensive player. But then it's really allowed him to like fully buy in defensively. And golly, man, he's to me a no-brainer for all defense at this point. He's second in the NBA in stocks per game, only to one Victor Wembanyama. I mean, he's right above like Evan Mobley, I think, is the next guy on that list. Just going back and rewatching, he had 12 stocks in the last 2 games before the All-Star game. And like, just doing special stuff. It's so exciting. This is who I hoped Florida State Scottie Barnes would be defensively. He is an absolute menace out there, bro. The matchup versatility is insane. Like, I mean, he's on Cade, and like his ability to pressure the ball and even force a guy like that into turnovers, right? Make him uncomfortable is so impressive. And then he has the ability to guard bigger players in the front court. His switchability is really impressive. And just the length in the hands where he can take the ball from people. It is, I don't want to say Kawhi-esque, but kinda. Like, it's a pretty rare thing, the ability that he has there. He's an 89th percentile isolation defender. And then, I mean, he's really good at generating steals, but probably even more valuable as a team defender. What he is able to do with his range as an off-ball defender, getting in passing lanes, making help side plays. I mean, 1.6 blocks per game this year. His timing as a shot blocker is so good. His athleticism, again, it's just like so much of it is the ground that he can cover. He's got such great athletic gifts. He's got really good defensive instincts. He's delivering really good rebounding value. So when I think about what a championship basketball player looks like, I think Scottie Barnes is your third offensive option, is that. And that's always been my hope for him. That's always been the dream, is that he gets in a spot where more is taken off of his plate as a scorer, and he can lean into all the shit that he is so great at with some of his off-ball feel stuff, rebounding value, really good passing, and then this like all-world kind of defense. And I think he's doing that. So I think both him and a Jalen Johnson are going to run into some half-court issues offensively in a playoff series. And then it comes down to who can still deliver elite value in other areas. And that's where I think Scottie's defense could be like the most valuable single asset in a playoff series. And that can be really game-changing. So I do value that a lot. And that's where I've been moved and really impressed with Scottie this year.
Yeah, that's where I've been most impressed with Scottie, too, this year. If I had to pick between him and Dub, I would have gone with Dub, and that's why I gave him the honorable mention. Again, it's my confidence in these guys really being able to expand their offensive game, where I just do have more faith in Jalen Johnson carving that out and figuring it out in a way that I don't really see down the line with Scottie or Dub. I wholeheartedly agree. I think they are winning basketball players. I think that's the exact right role for them. They are defensive problems, monsters, and I think they're winners, but it's those offensive limitations that they keep from being on my list, and my confidence in them developing the areas where they lack right now.
Yeah, so maybe there's just a little bit of a difference in terms of what we value right there. I'm just like not super high on what Jalen Johnson, offensive number one, really means for a team. Whereas I think with Scottie and with J-Dub, you know that they're going to be your second option, maybe your third option offensively, but they are as versatile as any basketball player on the planet today, and so great defensively, and the passing feels so good. So I really considered them up against each other. I do think J-Dub is ultimately a much more proven scorer. What he's done in a deep playoff run, a title run, like that's where I gave him the nod over Scottie. But obviously this year, Scottie has been much better. I'm just still more confident with J-Dub. And even though J-Dub's in a lull as a three-point shooter, we also know he's had stretches of great three-point shooting, whereas Scottie, you just know it's always clunky. J-Dub, it's sometimes clunky and sometimes really good. But that was something that I thought about briefly, and I do think they have a lot of similarities in terms of the archetype, the type of value that they're bringing. Like you said, winning players who do a lot of things on the margins and who just do a lot of things for you, period. Extremely, extremely multifaceted in their impact. So, in my 8th spot, I had Kon. Who's in your 8th spot, Logan?
So, I know this guy's not on your list. And
Wait, can I guess?
Yeah, go for it.
No, I don't know. Sorry, I wanted to guess, but now I'm becoming uncertain. I'm getting a little bit nervous and flustered. It's not Alex Sarr, is it?
Alex Sarr is not in my 8th spot. I have Dylan Harper here in my 8th spot. And I went to bat for him in the offseason. I'm going to go to bat for him again. This is not really based on what we've seen from him this season in his rookie year. Obviously, right, there have been way more impressive rookies if people wanted to go bat for a VJ Edgecombe. Also, shout out Trey Johnson, too, man. I think Trey Johnson's just going to be a really good basketball player in this
How about
league.
them Wizards? Can I give a shout-out for like a fourth-tier honorable mention to Keyshawn
sure.
George?
Yeah,
He's
Keyshawn
a fourth-tier
George
honorable
is
mention.
Fun too, man.
The Wizards had a couple guys who it's like they're not going to be on the list, but, I mean, they deserve a shout somewhere.
They do. Dylan Harper, though, if someone even wanted to make an argument for him to be like fringe top 5, I wouldn't push back a ton. I think Dylan Harper is so talented, and the thing that has really been showcased to me more than anything else is just his incredible feel. I think Dylan Harper has some of the best feel of any rookie guard I've ever seen. His decision-making is so immaculate. He's so fundamentally unselfish. I never really feel like Dylan Harper steps on any toes, and that's another area where I've been impressed, where I was skeptical if he was going to be able to fit in with San Antonio. I think he's got more versatility than I gave him for, where we've seen him at least be serviceable and playable in the two-guard spot where he's not the lead guard. Along with the feel, Dylan Harper is a fantastic athlete. He's got great footwork and body control. And there's just and I said this coming into the year, he just has such polish for a guy that is so young. And again, I know the numbers aren't really going to scream it to you in just sheer volume, right? On the season, he's 11, 3, and 3.5 on 47, 25, 75 splits, but he's still just 19 years old. He's going to be 20 in 2 weeks. The guy has got such an innate ability to just kill guys one-on-one, to carve his way deep into the paint, to get to any look around the rim, and he can finish with his left or his right. He's awesome in transition, getting out on the break. He's so fast. And obviously, the ceiling for Dylan Harper is going to be dependent on his three-point shot and his pull-up jumper. And I've been wrong about guys developing a jumper before. Dylan Harper is one of these guys that I think is going to be a really good jump shooter in this league. Harper, to me, is still a little bit better as a pull-up jump shooter than he is really super comfortable off the catch. But again, year one isn't, in my opinion, the best time to really determine if a guy can knock down, is going to be a good jump shooter. Next year, I think, is going to be a much better determinant of, can this guy put the ball in the basket reliably from the perimeter? I've always liked the mid-range shot. He is great within, 15 feet. Like, he has got excellent touch on the interior. But, yeah, I think Dylan Harper is a superstar, lead guard, future all-star kind of guy in this league. And I'm just willing to bet on him, to have him on this list already. So, again, I didn't think that I was going to have as much projection. I thought you might have a little bit more, but here we are. Harper's in my 8th spot.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you got Dylan Harper on your list, what is that other than projection? And, I think we have to project, obviously. You're not going to treat 19-year-old Dylan Harper, who is in a spot where he's the third guard because they've got two other really good guards, like you're going to treat somebody who, again, we've seen with major opportunity for 5 years now. I love Dylan Harper. I like this shout. The bar to get on this list was just really high. I mean, I've been so impressed by like a Jalen Johnson, a Scottie Barnes. I've been blown away by Kon Knueppel. It's really not anything about Harper other than I think the perimeter shot being a little bit more concerning than I thought it was as a prospect. You always knew that was the thing, right? Like, what level is he going to be able to get to there? Can he be a solid jump shooter? Because if he is, I mean, what he can do as a downhill guard, what he is as a passer, what he is as a finisher is so special. But him shooting 25% from three, that's been ugly. But like you said, I mean, there are some indicators where the free throw touch is solid. These sort of like floater range, mid-range, all of that is solid. He's in like the low 40s, which is, again, decent in terms of projectability. So I have no problem with you having Harper here. I honestly like it. I think the combination of size, craft, athleticism, footwork, length, rim finishing touch, the ability to play off of 2 feet, like he's so gifted in that way. And the ball handling and the ability to protect the basketball. Like, if you just look at Dylan Harper's numbers per 36, 18, 6, and 6, with 2.2 turnovers, the scoring efficiency isn't good because the outside shot has been really rough. That's my only holdup with him, but I like the long-term optimism. Still having him above Kon is probably bold at this point. I think it's justifiable because you see the long-term vision with Harper. I more so just think I've been like so impressed by Kon.
I think it's why we do this
already.
list, right? To have these debates. I mean, to me, it's the archetypal difference, and it's the fact that Dylan Harper, I think, projects as a lead guard that you can put the ball in his hands every possession, and he's going to lead to elite offense one day. I'm still confident. I'm still really confident in that vision. Kon is malleable and as portable as they come in the league, and I think he works in any offensive system. But I still do think that Dylan is going to be an all-star kind of lead guard in this league.
I guess I'm just kind of like with Kon, what if purely offensively you took Klay Thompson and then you made him a substantially better ball handler and you gave him much better feel and better passing and really good intermediate touch in a floater game that he didn't have and craft? Like, I'm not joking. I think that's who Kon Knueppel absolutely can be offensively. I think he is that level of off-ball shooter with that size and then just way more on-ball. So, again, it's more so just like I'm super high on Kon now. I've been absolutely amazed and like so excited. And that archetype, bro, I mean, when you can be that effective off-ball without needing it in your hands, and then you can also bring real on-ball value and 65% true shooting as a rookie
guard, you know what? It's
like,
funny.
Come on, bro.
I'm looking back at my notes from that draft, and I wrote down he's on the Grady Dick, Austin Reeves, Klay Thompson spectrum.
Yeah. Wow. Shout out to Grady Dick. Austin Reeves is a different type of white boy, though. He's a pick and roll, volume pick and roll.
Kon was moving different at Duke, though, man. He had some of that craft and bag.
He has that craft and bag in the NBA. My point is just, I think the archetype is more similar to a Klay Thompson offensively, but absolutely, I mean, a blend of different things because I do think he's better on ball already. So, yeah, very, very exciting stuff. This episode is sponsored by Fabletics. Guys, I love Fabletics. I really do. This little number I'm wearing right here, this whole thing, Fabletics. My closet lined with Fabletics. So if you want to dress like me, then you know where to go. I mean, this just lines up perfectly with my style, man. It's athletic, it's leisure wear, it's comfortable, it's multi-purpose, and it's stylish. It's stylish as all get out, man. I put this thing on, my girlfriend goes, "Who's that? Who's that guy?" And then I look, and there's actually nobody there. I don't have a girlfriend. I live alone in a hovel under a bridge. But if you guys want to be like me, if you guys want to dress up like me and cosplay like me, Carson Breber, C-Brebs the Kid, it will be most accurate if you do it in Fabletics. I really do recommend this stuff, guys. It's really high quality. It's a good price. And with Fabletics, you can take care of your whole wardrobe in one place. They've got it all. Hoodies, sweatshirts, comfortable shirts, athletic shirts, shorts, sweatpants, whatever you want, they've got it. Fabletics already has incredible deals, and we've got an exclusive offer just for our listeners. Get 80% off everything when you sign up as a VIP. And yes, that includes Jamar's first drop. Jamar Chase, he's got a great collection with Fabletics. They got all sorts of great collections. They go together like peanut butter and jelly. So just head over to fabletics.com/nerdsesh, take a quick style quiz, and be sure to select NerdSesh when prompted to unlock your 80% off. That's fabletics.com/nerdsesh. Who is in your 7 spot?
I think this is going to be contentious. I think I'm going to knock your socks off here in about 2 players. Ooh. I have your darling boy, Evan Mobley, here at number 7. And Mobley has to be here to me, and we've had this debate before. I think people that are really low on Evan Mobley just value different things or don't appreciate fully the kind of archetype that Evan Mobley is in, this defensive-first big man who is going to anchor your team defense. And I don't think it's been fully reflected in the Cavs defense this year. The Cavs defense has been really disappointing considering what we've seen from them over the past few years. And so I also think people are just disappointed that the development hasn't been linear, that we've seen Evan Mobley this season kind of hit a bit of a plateau, right? Beginning of this year was really disastrous in terms of efficiency. And you expect, right? Oh, Mobley's doing this year over year. The roller coaster's going up. Or he's keeping getting better. He's one of the most efficient big men in basketball. And then this season, he just comes back down to earth a little bit. He's 18-9-4 on 51-30, 64 splits, 57.6% true shooting. I mean, 64% from the line, 30% from deep is really, really disappointing, just considering the leaps and bounds that Mobley has made, especially under Kenny Atkinson. I mean, last year, initiating a ton in the half court, looking confident, stepping into shots, whether it's off the catch or off the dribble. And again, Mobley is just kind of stagnated. That being said, he is still one hell of a defender and a rim deterrent. He has got still, in my opinion, elite versatility and switchability on some of these really athletic scoring wings in basketball. And he's number 7 in terms of defensive field goal percentage differential inside 6 feet. He's holding players 10.5% below their average field goal percentage. And so Mobley's way too solid to leave off of this list. He is too sure of a thing to leave him off this list. But with some of my offensive concerns that have been more highlighted and more notable this season, I'm less confident in him being, a guy that you can really just give the ball to and let him go to work. And I think it's going to be a hot take. I do not think you're going to agree with me on the next guy on my list being over Mobley, and I'm prepared to go to battle and to have this debate, but I'm more confident in that guy developing his offensive repertoire while delivering really good defensive value where...
You're going to have Alex Sarr one spot higher, you crazy SOB.
I just might.
Wow.
But that's why Mobley is in my 7th spot. And, I mean, he was... I want to say Mobley was top 5 for me last time we did this list. I think he might have been in my 3 spot.
He was in my 3 spot.
He is just... He's come back down a little bit to earth, and I have been disappointed with the lack of progression this season. So I still understand the value of Mobley. I think he is a very sure thing. I think he's a defensive anchor, but this offensive stagnation is what leaves him down at number 7.
I have Mobley at number 6, so there's not a big gap here. I do think that oftentimes people undervalue the elite defensive impact bigs because it's not sexy and aesthetically, offensively, it's not going to pop. But when you can be a top 7 defender on the planet and you can bring also versatile, efficient offensive value and you're a high field passer, you're going to be an extremely impactful basketball player. And that's all I care about, right? It's impact. It's how much do you drive winning. Last year, Evan Mobley was a top 15-ish guy when it comes to driving winning. I think there's a strong argument that in the regular season, he was the most valuable player on a team that won 64 games. So those are the heights that he's reached. That was last year. And when it is all right with him, I think the impact is flat out elite. And I think, there's even more growth and development that we could see from Mobley because what's been interesting is this year he's still been super efficient as a pick and roll ball handler. That inverted pick and roll with him is really difficult to guard with his ability to make passing reads, seeing over the top, and then he can be effective as a driver if he can get a mismatch and get good position downhill and then maybe convert that into a little post up. He can be a very good offensive player in certain contexts with the ball in his hands. I do think he is a very gifted passing big, right? Up around 4 assists a game this year. That's legitimate value that he brings. And then when he's at his best, he's an efficient play finisher. He's somebody who, in the dunker spot, off the roll, right, efficient around the basket, can get to the free throw line at a decent rate, and last year was making those shots from the line at a 73% clip, and then obviously the ability to actually stretch the floor. And last year he was a 37% three-point shooter, shot even better than that in the playoffs from deep. That's the difference between Evan Mobley last year and this year. It's pretty damn simple, dude. Pretty much everything is the same except instead of making 73% of his free throws, he's making 63%. Instead of making 37% of his threes, he's making 30%. So really his value is going to come down to what level of jump shooter is he? Where does he fall on that spectrum? I've been surprised, definitely disappointed by some of the yips he's had at the free throw line and just, compared to last year, how at times he seemed to totally lose his confidence from beyond the arc. Again, I think there's always context, right? When Mobley is shooting 37% from 3 last year, it's on 3 attempts a game. It's mostly very open threes off the catch, right? Not a lot of shooting against closeouts, although he did some of that in the playoffs, which I thought was really encouraging and made 45% of 4 3-point attempts a game. This year, he's getting the same shots and he's just really struggling to make them. But when you get last year Evan Mobley, who, right, can give you 19, 9, 4, 63% true shooting with top 5 level defense, that's a player I'm extremely high on. I think he absolutely still has that ability within him. I do think before the calf injury, we saw him really defending to his utmost abilities again, where 2.7 blocks per game over his last 15 games, holding opposing players 15% below their average field goal percentage around the basket. that combination of elite rim protection with really good matchup versatility. I mean, he's got great length. He moves his feet so damn well. He's one of the most switchable bigs in basketball. We've seen him in previous postseasons take on Paolo as a primary matchup, Jason Tatum, and really guard those guys well in extended stretches. So I know what I'm getting on that side of the ball. I know what I'm getting in terms of passing feel. It's just the shooting and really the all-around scoring touch. Because the other thing with Mobley is that paint touch is not so good. Like in the paint outside the restricted area, he's under 40%. And so when it comes to a lot of like his opportunities to self-create as a scorer out of the post or be a mismatch attacker, like he's going to get to those little hook shots a lot. He's gotten stronger, but still doesn't play a lot of true bully ball. And again, he's just mediocre at those shots, like not very good at those shots. So he hasn't been an efficient post-up player this year. I would say he was even a little bit better at that last year, although that's never really been a strength of his as a player. So I get being lower on Mobley right now. I'm lower on Mobley right now than I was coming into the year, but I still think what he does when he's at his best is so valuable. His ability to carry a defense, his ability to fit in so seamlessly alongside ball handling guards, his ability to play at the 4 or the 5 and excel at both. I do think he's best offensively at the 5. I think he's best overall at the 5, and he still has never had the opportunity to play a full season at that position. I think he's going to look better down the stretch this year. I'm excited to see him playing with James Harden. I think an elite playmaking guard like that is absolutely going to do wonders for him offensively, and I think the efficiency and production will look better, and I think we'll all be feeling better about Evan Mobley by the end of this year than we are right now. But no question, I mean, just the touch and the shot making has to be better for him to be back in like top 5 or, like we were saying coming into the year, top 3 sort of conversations, because even though there's a lot of fun stuff he does offensively, like as a ball handler, right? You get into the playoffs, and defenses really tighten up, and they bring more ball pressure, and they've probably got more dudes who can switch and just like kind of, again, pressure the ball like that and deal with you physically. And Mobley's value offensively does diminish a bit. I think this happens for a lot of like the skilled bigs who are just more comfortable operating in a regular season environment than they are against elite playoff defenses. I think we've seen the same thing with my beloved Chet Holmgren. So I acknowledge that, but I still think the archetype is very valuable. And I think Mobley is a very good example of it, who's just had kind of a weird year, but still very young, still 24.
Yeah, I'm excited to see him with Harden too. That is one of the things that I'm holding out hope for. Because, I mean, that is a big component of some of Mobley's struggles, too. Darius Garland not being available, right? Like, him setting up his teammates for easy looks. But, I don't know. I am worried just that we've seen, not the best for Mobley, but just, like, if we've seen him getting closer to maxing out what he's able. You know, like, are we seeing him... I don't know. A couple of years ago, I just had a vision where it's like, all right, Mobley just comes together and he's just unstoppable and can do everything on the basketball court. And I wonder if those expectations were a little bit too high. He's still extremely valuable. Like, he is still super valuable with what he does. But I just wonder if some of my offensive expectations were a little too lofty.
I think that's fair. I think I could say the same thing. And, like, I mean, it was just such a great season last year, right? Like, even going into last year, it was like, okay, expectations had been tempered for Mobley. This guy I was so high on coming out of the draft. And, I mean, he was clearly very impactful, but I wasn't thinking like, all right, this guy's going to end up being a top 10 player. And then last year, I was like, yep, we're back. We're all the way back there. He's fluid offensively, but again, it's not always like to the level where it can be functional against really good defenses. Last year, he was making open catch-and-shoot jumpers. Can he do that against really good defenses that are contesting and stuff, right? I mean, this year he hasn't even been able to make the open ones. So I think it's fair to say the offensive ceiling with him isn't that high. But, I mean, if it's what we got last year, if it's even a little bit better than that, right, just with some improvements on the margins, I mean, that's a guy who can be one of the most impactful players on the planet. Because you think about what an off night looks for these guys, right? And it's like, okay, an off night for Evan Mobley, he's still the most impactful defensive player on the floor, probably, with crazy matchup versatility, super impactful team defender, impacting the game on the glass, probably makes a few good decisions as a passer. And so even if, I mean, he's only giving you whatever, 10, 12 points. I mean, he's probably going to have a couple play finishing opportunities, and that's just where I am still high on the value that he can bring. You compare it to, like, some other guys where if it's even a Jalen Johnson, I was going to say Paolo, but Paolo just feels so cheap at this point because, I mean, anybody can shit on Paolo because he's just not impactful whatsoever. But, like, if Jalen Johnson runs into a really difficult offensive matchup, I think that the floor for him in terms of overall impact is lower than it is with a Mobley because of what Mobley is bringing. I mean, especially on the defensive end, but just as an overall very versatile basketball player. So that's where I wind up with him at number 6. Alex Sarr, Logan. Wow. So you have said this is not a Charmander, Charmeleon, Charizard, whatever the progression is situation of Sarr, Mobley, Wemby, whatever. You think that Sarr has jumped the Mobster. Wow.
I just think he has more upside. Yeah.
We'll make the case.
I mean, I don't know who's in your 7 spot yet.
Oh, that's where I have J-Dub.
You have Dub here at 7? Okay.
I do.
Sarr this season has just looked more comfortable handling the ball and creating in the half court than I think I've ever felt with Mobley. Like, I think Mobley's better at, like, running pick and rolls and stuff like that, but I just see a world where Sarr is really confident and really efficient out of the post and on the low block. I think his touch is better. I think his jump shot is better. I just think he is going to be better at putting the ball in the basket than Mobley, and his handle looks better. He's just so much more confident creating than he was last year, and I was really skeptical. I was really nervous. I was disappointed with Sarr last year. He was very, very, very reliant on that jump shot. He rarely entered the interior. There is depth to his game that wasn't there before. There is legitimate post footwork and touch that is there. Mm-hmm. His shot diet has completely transformed from last season. He was basically jump shot or oop last season. Now he's got a turnaround fade. He's got a fade away. He can I still think he needs to get better with like his left and going left a little bit. That's something that I think leaves a little bit to be desired. But like I don't know, man. There's a different level of Sarr takes the ball in his hands one-on-one, and there is intent there, and he's just deliberate. Like he looks more confident with the rock in his hands going to serve a guy a bucket than I've ever really felt with Mobley. There's just a different level of like coordination and fluidity that I see in Sarr's game that I just don't see with Evan Mobley. And I think Mobley to me is clearly the better defender and brings you more value on that. I think he's a better rebounder. I think he's more versatile and switchable. Yeah. But Sarr is also a really good rim protector. He's 14th in defensive field goal differential inside 6 feet, holding opposing players 8.8% below their average inside 6 feet. I just see it. I just see it with Sarr where he is a legitimate guy. What I saw with Mobley, I see more in with Sarr. And I think the touch is obviously going to be the biggest determinant. He's still below 35% from deep. I think that's going to be a big swing factor. Is he a 35% three-point shooter, or is he a 37 to 38% kind of three-point shooter? But like that intermediate game, the way he serves buckets on the block, man, his post game, I really see that being a foundational piece of his offense. And I think his feel has progressed this season. I think we've seen those flashes of playmaking and decision-making, but the key difference, I would say, in their offensive games is Sarr initiating from the perimeter and my confidence in him really developing this post game. I think he's just going to be a legitimate post scorer and a guy that you can go to on the block and reliably serve buckets, where I don't really see that as much with Mobley. And I mean, to state the obvious, he's got 4 more years to catch up to do it, and I think he's just ahead of schedule. Sarr's 20, Mobley's 24. I just see it with Alex Sarr. I think he's got an easier avenue to being a better offensive player than Evan Mobley.
I don't agree. I do think that Sarr is definitely the better post-up scorer specifically, but I think a lot of the questions about, okay, what level of shot maker is Alex Sarr actually, right? As a guy who absolutely has adjusted his shot diet. He's become a much better paint scorer this year than last year, less in love with the 3-ball and the jumper overall, but nevertheless still, right, a lot of his offense does come from paint outside the restricted area and even the mid-range and beyond the arc. And from all those areas, I mean, he's still under 40% paint non-restricted area, under 33% mid-range, 33% from three, I think we still have major questions about how good he actually is at scoring from outside the restricted area. And then when it does come to like play finishing around the basket, I do think that Mobley has been better. I think that's why Mobley, at his best, has been a substantially more efficient offensive player, where Sarr is at 55% true shooting. Mobley was at 63 last year. Now, obviously, Mobley also played in a much better offensive context with much better playmakers. So maybe it is that Sarr playing with a truly elite playmaking point guard like Trae Young unlocks this different ceiling of inside scoring and play finishing. But I do think in terms of tendencies, even though, again, he's adjusted the knobs to become more of a paint scorer this year, I still think there's a lot that he's leaving to be desired on that front. In terms of the ball handling, I think there are certain things that Mobley does when it comes to inverted pick and roll, pushing in transition, right, and being an actual threat in the full court and a playmaker there, that are really impressive that Sarr just does not do at this point. I think in terms of passing feel, they're honestly pretty similar. I think like Sarr has a lot of great moments off the short roll, but I think that Mobley, again, because of what he does out of inverted pick and roll and being used more as like a true playmaking hub, if it's handoffs, delay actions, things like that, I think he brings more value in that way. And I do still think that Mobley is, the substantially better defender. I think Sarr is a really good defender. That's always been his main selling point as a talent. But I do think Mobley is nevertheless the better defender in every way. He's the better rim protector. He's the better rebounder. He's the more switchable defender. So I do think this was what I was saying about Sarr as a prospect, right? He is somewhere on the Mobley, Chet spectrum, whatever, right, of these great defensive bigs. And the question is, how good can he be offensively? And I was just by far the least confident in his offense. And I think this has been an impressive offensive season, but I still think that Mobley is, substantially better all around right now and still the guy who I would bet on long term.
I think Sarr's got 4 years to close this gap, and he's less timid than Mobley. I like Sarr's mentality. I just think he's more headstrong.
Bro said, timid tax. We want big alphas.
Dogs.
I don't know, bro. Mobley in his second year was better than Sarr is in his second year because Mobley was in like depoy conversations in his second year. And
Sarr looks like a completely different basketball player than his rookie season.
He absolutely does, bro. Alex Sarr stock has gone way, way up. He was my number one prospect in that class. If we were to do a redraft after his first year, I would not have taken him number one. And now I think he's regained that status. So no question, it's been a really good year. But let's give some respect to Evan Mobley. Again, Evan Mobley was second team All-NBA last year.
We've spent 4 years glazing Evan Mobley. Now I am going to be the Alex Sarr glazer.
It's an interesting position, Logan. And I do like Sarr. I do. But maybe you're just more confident in the jump shooting than me. I still think, again, the touch numbers I mentioned,
some of the
69% from the line. I get it, Logan, but the difficult stuff gets you. That's tough. Where you got Paolo.
That boy tough.
You saw Paolo hit some of those fadeaways and jab step face-ups, and you said, oh, my Lord, he's going to be an elite shooter. And it turns out he's the worst
Alex
jump
Sarr
shooter
hit this
to
little
ever
half
live.
spin to his right side, fade over his shoulder, bang.
The post game with him is pretty sexy. He's definitely better at that than Mobley. I still think Mobley is better at everything else on the basketball court, though. So, definitely, I disagree with you here. But am I screaming, Logan? Is this having Larry Bird over Steph Curry as a scorer? No,
Still
I
a
don't
valid
think it's
take. Still a hella valid take.
Not a valid take, never a valid take, never going to be a valid take. Did you put on the film of him against Dennis Rodman and the Pistons? Did you put on the film of him against Robert Reed and the Rockets? All right, we're not going back to this. We're not going to revisit it. In my 7 spot, Logan, I have J-Dub. Man, Alex Sarr over J-Dub. I don't know. We just saw J-Dub be clearly the second best player on a title team, deliver clearly top 20 level value in that run. I think it's just a little too optimistic about Sarr for my liking and a little too pessimistic about J-Dub. And I really don't think I'm that high on J-Dub's offense because this year he's only playing 29 minutes a game and he's been in and out of the lineup with injuries. All that stuff is very important context. But nevertheless, 17.5 points per game on 55.5% true shooting. I mentioned some of the issues he's had shooting from deep, off the catch. We know that he can settle for a pretty tough self-created shot diet where he can really fall in love with the mid-range and he's good, not great from that range, and sometimes settles for relatively inefficient shots. And overall, if we look at the last 2 years, the OKC offense, like just flat out, no question, is at their best when Shea is on the floor without J-Dub. Pretty much when Shea is able to have the ball in his hands at all times and maybe get a better catch and shooter in that spot instead of Dub, in those minutes, Shea no J-Dub, OKC has a 126 offensive rating, like ridiculously elite. Shout out to Shea. By the way, can I glaze Shea for a moment? Because when we did our top 10 scorers episode, I didn't hammer home nearly enough the point that this guy, he's probably going to break the record for most consecutive 20-point games. And when we talk about scoring floors, he damn near might have the highest that there's ever been. And so it's like you've got the epitome of consistency offensively in Shea, and then you've got, I don't want to say the epitome of offensive inconsistency in J-Dub, but for a player of his stature, a very volatile offensive player. And when J-Dub is out there without Shea, they've got a 114.6 offensive rating. They're slightly below league average. Crazy elite with Shea, no Dub. Very good with both of them. Mediocre, slightly below average with Dub, no Shea. So I understand that. And this year, he just has not at all taken even the little mini leap that I was hoping for, right? Like, I was not expecting J-Dub to take some big leap this year. I just thought, can he improve on the margins, okay? The J-Dub who we saw playing super downhill at the end of the playoffs, right? Can he tap into that more consistently? Can he have a better three-point shooting season than last year? And obviously, I mean, the answer's just flat out been no, but also, this is where I think I'm just giving him more benefit of the doubt than you because of what he did last year and because, I mean, he's been banged up and like hasn't been able to really get a rhythm and has just missed so much time this year. And the sample size we have this year isn't really that big. I think when you consider his ability to be one of the most impactful rim protecting wings in the NBA, his ability in terms of matchup versatility where he can literally switch on to anybody. And then he's got the ability to guard up, right? He's a guy you can throw at Triple J. He's a guy you can throw at Jokic in possessions. And with his size and length, 6'6", 7-foot wingspan, and his just dog factor, he'll fight for position, he'll front, he'll make every catch hard, he'll be able to actually get good contests with his length, and he'll be able to get in a guy's handle and force turnovers. And then one of the best players at turning defense into offense in transition in the NBA. I thought he absolutely should have been all defense last year. Like, I thought he was just stellar and showed all that value in the playoffs. And, like, that stuff really matters, man. I think I'm really valuing defense on this list, and I'm really valuing versatility because in a deep playoff run, like, that stuff is so important. And J-Dub is so good at it, and he is a really high field passer overall. And when he is right, he can blend on-ball and off-ball scoring really nicely, right? Like, I don't want to act like J-Dub is not a good offensive player because he is, because he has cutting feel. He can usually knock down catch and shoot jumpers. Although again, I'm not ignoring the large sample size of him struggling more to do that over this last year plus. And then overall, like, he is a solidly efficient on-ball player, right? He's a 74th percentile pick and roll scorer this year, 60th percentile isolation scorer. He is a pretty good mid-range shooter. He can shift gears and get into the lane and get to the line at a rate that I wish were higher, but it's decent. And again, I mean, we saw it peak late in the playoffs last year. So I'm just giving props to J-Dub, a guy who I know for a fact is a really complete winning basketball player. And even with the flaws, I mean, he's just giving me B+ value in so many different ways that I got to have him on my list. So I have him in my 7th spot.
Yeah, I mean, I appreciate what Dub brings to the table, but I do see a different kind of complete upside and offensive upside with a lot of the other guys on my list. I mean, I am really knocking him for, and I get it, right? Because OKC does stagger these minutes, so it's like comparing this is not the, I don't know, not the most fair assessment I can do because I'm comparing him against one of the best offensive players in NBA history in some of this on-off data, but you know, the Thunder have been 4.4 points better without Dub on the court offensively over the past 2 seasons. And, like, Dub can be a real detriment to the OKC offense sometimes. It's infuriating in a way. And I don't think Dub has these kind of athletic traits that lead him to easy avenues of offense the way some other guys on my list can or even project to be able to. He's very jump shot reliant. The jump shot's been really bad. Maybe in a year when he's fully healthy and we can get a real long stretch of basketball, I'll feel differently and I'll feel bad that I left Dub off this list. I understand his value and I know what a special defensive player J-Dub is, but just been disappointed in his offensive game, man.
I don't know, dude. Like, in minutes when Dub was on the floor without Shea in the playoffs, they were a plus 12 net. And okay, that's only like a sample size of a couple hundred minutes, but it's like the most important couple hundred minutes of the season, right? Like, he really stepped up, dude. And last year, the guy was 22, 5, and 5 on 57% true shooting in the regular season. And then in a title run, 21.5, 5.5, and 5 on 54.5% true shooting. I just think we've seen it with him in a way that, I'm sorry, I'm not going to put fucking Alex Sarr above him. I understand your criticisms of J-Dub. I just think they're taking it too far.
Known Alex Sarr hater, Carson.
Not
Brooker,
at all,
Wizards
bro.
Fans, go get in his inbox and get at him.
Logan, you just take radical positions, man, which, by the way, I love and respect. But, you know, I mean, me not thinking Larry Bird is a top 10 scorer ever doesn't make me a Larry Bird hater.
Why did you have to take that unnecessary shot at Alex Sarr, bro?
It's not. I'm saying J-Dub was clearly a top 20 player in the NBA last year who held up over a 23-game NBA title run. J-Dub is 24 years old, and everything he does, I know for a fact, translates.
Chopped, washed,
Bro is hating. Bro is hitting him with the TikTok tax or something. I don't know what this is, but it's too much J-Dub. Bro, you're damn near like the guy who said J-Dub is the most obvious "the dynasty starts without you" player that there is. Whatever fucking idiot said that, and then J-Dub was the best player in a finals game, and J-Dub was a pivotal player in a title run. You just can't take that stuff for granted.
Is up next.
Okay, bro. All right. Shout out to Alex Sarr. So, who's in your 5 spot?
Ooh-wee. I don't think people are going to like this one.
Ooh-wee.
I got Cade Cunningham in my 5 spot, and I feel like a lot of people are going to shit on this take because Cade is a really good player. Cade's great. There are just 4 other guys that I'd rather build around. It's really as simple as that. I would be blessed if I was starting a franchise and I could be gifted a guy like Cade Cunningham. I think there are some really great things that he does. He is a really great playmaker and passer, and he is an awesome intermediate range scorer. I mean, he's really developed it from the rim to, like, you know, the mid-range. Cade's awesome. He's so strong. I love the way he uses his body and his strength to create shots, and specifically in most matchups that he's going to go up against, he can just rise and fire over guys because they don't have the size or athleticism to really get up and contest and bother his shots. My only knocks on Cade would really be the avenues to really hyper-efficient, easy offense, and that's because Cade doesn't have that kind of athleticism and burst to really get really high-quality looks at the rim. Although his strength, I think, is A1 for a guard. Like, he's so freaking strong, and his post game is awesome. I just mean like those really easy looks that more hyper-athletic, quick guards are going to get to because they can just blow by guys. He didn't have that kind of athletic explosiveness, but Cade is an offensive engine, and as an offensive number 1, you've seen what he's able to do, especially when you put shooting and capable offensive players around him. And he's a defensive plus, but basically everybody else higher on my list, a couple of these guys I think are just transcendent defensive players that I think completely transform defenses by themselves. There's another guy that I think is an athletic freak, and then the other guy I think is just destined to be one of the top 3 to 5 best players on planet Earth. I don't have a ton of negative things to say about Cade other than his 3-point shot isn't great, and I'll knock on him for that. And he, again, cannot get to the rim and create super hyper-efficient offensive looks like that. But I think he's a brilliant playmaker. I think he's an awesome intermediate and post scorer, and he's a consistently great decision maker every single game. And he's got great positional size, and he's a really good rebounder, too, for his position. But, yeah, I don't have many negative things to say about Cade. I think he's a great basketball player. There are just 4 guys that I would rather build around more than Cade.
I have Cade at number 4 on this list, so I do have him above my darling boy, Chet Holmgren. I just think Cade's been too good this year for me to deny. I don't disagree with your criticisms. I mean, Lord knows we've talked about this many times, and I think I may still be lower on Cade than most because I do think I am critical, I guess. I feel realistic about the fact that he does have a couple limitations when it comes to offensive efficiency, right? The fact that he is a 33% shooter from beyond the arc and just on like medium volume, right? 5-6 attempts a game, but that limits what you can do in terms of your self-creation efficiency. And then the rim finishing stuff, he's been better as a finisher this year, but nevertheless, I mean, one of the less efficient rim finishing guards, especially in terms of Sarr, one of the least efficient volume rim finishing guards in the NBA. Inside of 8 feet overall, he's 55%. Again, you would like to see that number be better, and I do think it speaks to a lack of burst, a lack of elite athletic traits around the basket, and these have just been consistent trends with Cade, where it's like he's phenomenal from the intermediate area, but he struggles to finish efficiently at the basket. He struggles to efficiently make shots from beyond the arc. Those are the two most efficient areas on the basketball court, and so it matters if you struggle to do those two things. And if you look at like the playoff series against the Knicks last year, right? I mean, Cade was putting on a mid-range show, but he was brutal at the rim. He was brutal from beyond the arc. He turned the ball over a lot, and those have always been like the knocks on him as an offensive player. That being said, I do think he's having the best year of his career. I do think he's finishing a bit better this year. I do think he's cut down on the turnovers a bit this year. And as much as I love Chet, and as much as I love the archetype of incredible defender and very efficient, versatile offensive big man, like, I do think the offensive gap is so big that I would take the value that Cade delivers there. Because, I mean, if we're just talking regular season players, then it's really damn close. I just don't trust Chet at this point to be as efficient in a playoff setting, as efficient against elite defenses as he is in the regular season. I just think we've seen it enough times, if it's against the Spurs throughout this season or if it's in really the last two playoff runs where, again, he can be affected by increased ball pressure, increased physicality, increased defensive speed where he's facing more like really aggressive closeouts. And I mean, I think he's absolutely a better three-point shooter than he's shown in the playoffs, but I also don't think it's a coincidence that in more than 30 playoff games, he's gone from a 37% three-point shooter in the regular season to like just over 28%. Whereas Cade, even though I have the flaws that I can talk about with him offensively, like what he does as an offensive floor raiser is really significant. Like the Pistons offense without him is pretty rough. Now, the Pistons still win their minutes without him because their defense is absolutely insane. And that's what I always feel doesn't get enough credit with the Pistons, how elite that team defense is. They're 5-1 in games that Cade doesn't play this year. They've played some cupcake opponents, but like their defense is phenomenal, and that's the greatest strength of this team. However, they need somebody who can eat up so much offensive volume, who can find a way to succeed from the intermediate areas when he's playing with shitty spacing, with non-shooters alongside him, somebody who can be that level of playmaker to enhance the guys around him who aren't particularly skilled with the ball in their hands. Basically somebody who can carry this offense in every way. And Cade may not be in the top tier of guys in that regard, but I mean, the fact that he has a +8 offensive on-off, the fact that they're like a +4 relative offense when he plays compared to a -4 relative offense without him, like that really moves me, man. That really does mean a lot because what you pair with Cade, always when we talk about his offensive value, I think his offense can get overrated. It's still very valuable. I think his defense is probably underrated, especially in the context of him against like offensive players, especially guards who are of his caliber or better, right? Because Cade, I mean, he's just a totally solid defender, right? It's not that he's like a strong plus, but to be that sort of foundational offensive guard and have the ability to switch, and he's allowing only 0.74 points per isolation and post up as a defender. Like that's a really damn good number. He can guard up out of the post. He's got really good strength and size to contend in those matchups on certain possessions. He's got really solid value as a help defender with his size and length. He's one of the better rim protecting guards in the NBA. I mean, but offensively, he's a guard. Defensively, he can operate as a wing, right? He's totally got like good wing size, and he's got really solid rebounding value. Like, even though I'm not the highest on his offense, I really do value that combination of super solid defensively and a legit offensive floor raiser, because so many of these really good offensive guards, right? You get into a playoff setting and it's like Jalen Brunson, brother, you're getting brought into the action every single time and you're getting fucking exploited. So Jalen Brunson is a substantially better offensive player than Cade. I would rather, and I'm talking about right now, I'm not talking about long-term, have Cade Cunningham as the best player on my basketball team, because I know with him, we can be airtight defensively, and they are. And then, okay, yeah, he's going to have some more issues offensively than Brunson probably, but it's not like I have this fucking leaky pipe on one side of the ball. Cade is still a very, very good offensive player, very good. He's flawed, but the guy still gives you 26, 6, and 10 on 57% true shooting and makes your team way better. So with who he is as a playmaker, like, he is not an elite scorer of the basketball. He can give you volume as a scorer because he has the ball a lot. Again, he has some of these limitations, but as an overall offensive player, super impactful. And yeah, again, it just comes down to me being a little bit lower on Chet's playoff offense. And honestly, I mean, I guess you could say it really depends on context, right? Like, Chet's the better ceiling raiser, Cade's the better floor raiser. But even though I don't think that Cade's teammates get enough credit because of how good that defense is, like, Cade is far and away the best player on a team that's probably going to win 60 games this year. And he has them as an above average offense overall. And I just think he deserves a lot of credit for that. And honestly, I'd hear a case for Cade all the way up to number 2. Like, I'm just not that high on his offense, but I would hear that case. The big guard who's an elite playmaker and who can, I mean, he's a better defender than Ant. Like, I'd hear the case, but I'm not going to make the case.
I hear you on the Cade love point. I would hear him all the way up to number 2 as well. I agree with you. I think there's a large gap between them as offensive players and their reliability, but Chet is just such a special rim protector. I mean, yeah. I just think he is the second best interior guy in the league, and the only reason that Wemby's number 1 is because you can't teach that kind of freakish size. Like, the rim deterrence is just different. Like, guys won't even test Wemby in ways. Chet, though, just has some of the best, and I mean, we say this every time we talk about Chet, so, sorry if we sound like a broken record, but he has got impeccable instincts and impeccable timing, and he's just unbelievable. He is one of the best I've ever seen on that end, anchoring a defense. He is second in the league in terms of defensive field goal percentage differential inside 6 feet. 14.6% is the mark he's holding guys below their average field goal percentage.
And that's after last year. I mean, regular season and playoffs combined, it was a 16% differential, which is like the biggest number I've ever seen over a full year. He's genuinely an all-time great rim protector. Like, he actually is that insane.
And that's why he's number 4 for me. I mean, pretty simply, I just think I can take Chet, and he is going to be the best one of the best rim protectors in basketball, and I can build my defense out around him. So it may seem strange that I've gone to bat for a lot of these offensively slanted guys for so much of this episode and then argued against that with Cade, but Chet's different. Chet is different in a way where he plays the center spot. As you mentioned earlier in this episode, I completely agree. That is the most valuable position on defense, and I just really highly value this archetype, and I think Chet is the second best in it when, they have their offensive flaws, and obviously I think Wemby's a better offensive player too. Wemby is just so far and away.
Yeah, Wemby's different. Wemby almost is not. The archetype is maybe more like Sarr, Mobley, Chet.
Yeah,
I think
Wemby
is
his own thing. That's a great point. And I think Chet is the best out of that archetype, and I think he's the best rim protector out of those guys. And I really like the idea of just being able to go, okay, I'm starting from scratch. This guy is going to be the building block of my defense, and we'll figure out everything else around him. I just really highly value that archetype and how special Chet is in that kind of archetype. So I've got him at 4.
I mean, brother, you know how I feel about Chet. Like, him and Mobley, they're my darling boys, bro. They're the 2 dudes who I went to bat for both of them as the best prospects in their respective classes. I mean, I felt really strongly about it with Chet, but I felt strongly about it with Mobley too. And I've always felt that Chet is more talented than Mobley. I had Mobley, I think, 3rd and Chet 5th on this list coming into the year just because I was worried about Chet's availability right after obviously missing his full rookie season and then the pelvic injury last year. But, I mean, he's been very healthy this year, and this is the best year of Chet's career. Like, it is just at a different level what he's doing than Mobley, really on both sides of the ball. I mean, Mobley is a great, super versatile elite rim protector, but, like, Chet's rim protection is absolutely absurd, right? He adds even a little bit more length. His technique, his verticality is just outstanding. His discipline, his instincts, and he's an absolute monster there. Like, in terms of just pure rim protection, like the stat that you said, right? Nobody has been more effective at diminishing the efficiency of their opponents when they get to the rim than Chet Holmgren. Wemby, as a rim deterrent, absolutely clears him because he's fucking Wemby. But in that one specific way, in terms of polished technical rim protection, I think Chet is the best in the NBA. And then offensively, like, he's a very efficient play finisher. And overall, like, as a regular season scorer, super underrated in my opinion. Per 75 possessions, this guy is giving you 21.7 points on 65% true shooting. So, like, the intermediate touch with him is so good. The at-rim finishing is very efficient, right? He's a vertical lob threat. And then in the pick and roll game, he's obviously a lethal popper too. But then he's 51% in the paint non-restricted area, the short range jumpers, 46% from the mid-range. And then the three ball this year hasn't been as good for him as we're used to. I thought early in the year, I mean, there were indications that this was going to be his best three-point shooting season, right? He was doing more off the dribble, a higher volume, and it's ended up being his weakest so far. But he always kind of falls in that same range as a shooter of like mid to high 30s. So very solid there. Yeah, just, I mean, a great version of this archetype, right? A top 3 defender on the planet and a very efficient offensive play finisher who also can get his own in spots, right? And we talk about, I mean, impressive body control and agility, and the full court speed from him is so damn good. And the ball handling is good. If you just look at like efficiency by play type, like 80th percentile isolation, 72nd percentile post up. He's having his best season as a post scorer. He can get to the little turnarounds. I love Chet, dude. I really do. I think it's more so just, again, like seeing the value of what Cade can do carrying an offense this year and carrying a team to this heights. Again, I mean, they get so much credit for the defense, but he's an important part of being able to fit in to the defense. It's not really any criticism of Chet other than what I said, which is I do think in really tight offensive environments, the shooting can get a little shaky, the ball handling can get a little shaky, the decision-making can get a little shaky. The area where I've been most underwhelmed with Chet as an NBA player, I just thought he was going to be a better passer than this based on what we saw from him in college, and it's been his best season, but do I think Chet is going to reach the heights I thought he was going to as a prospect? No. I think he's such a bankable, like, elite impact guy. He's a fucking winner because of, I mean, just how seamlessly his value translates anywhere because he's so lean and efficient offensively and so great defensively. But I just don't think he's going to hit the offensive heights that I thought he could as a prospect. The shooting, again, it hasn't gotten better. It's pretty much just stayed the same when you talk about three-point shooting. But I mean, people who like hate on Chet, you're just missing the bigger picture of how this dude is so impactful. I mean, this year, far and away the second best player for such an elite basketball team. So, I mean, in the playoffs, they've consistently been way better with him on the court. In the regular season, they've been much better with him on the court as they're reaching these heights of, you know, plus 15 net ratings and higher when he's out there. I am a huge Chet Holmgren guy and Glazer. I just think that Cade deserves a lot of credit for what he's doing. And, like, if we see Chet do this exactly, right, if he's giving you 22 points per 75 on 65% true shooting in a playoff run, okay. Then, yeah, I probably, or at least maybe would take that version of Chet again. But the reality is the last 2 years in the playoffs, he's been like a 15-point-per-game guy on 57% true shooting, and that's just enough of a dink in his offensive value to lead me to take Cade. So, we're going to have the same top 3, Logan. We'll see if the order is the same. Who is your bronze medalist here?
I've got Cooper Flagg here in my 3 spot. I couldn't put him above my darling baby boy, Anthony Edwards. Everybody knows how I feel about him.
What about Alex Sarr? Where's Alex Sarr in these conversations?
He's the GOAT. This guy's trying to be funny. Bro, I'm not going to forget how you didn't like Alex Sarr when he's freaking sweet.
What are you talking about? I didn't like Alex Sarr.
I'm going to remind people of
what are you
this
talking
moment.
About? I shouted him out as an honorable mention for this list.
He's way better, man. He's freaking sweet.
He is way better than last year.
Wizards fans are going to find your home, and they're going to douse it in toilet paper,
Logan,
buddy, and maybe throw some eggs at it.
Sometimes I think you're just miscalibrated in terms of the public opinion. Like, you were acting like it was the craziest thing ever that I didn't have Jokic in my top 10 list that I had him in one of my first couple guys off, talking purely about scoring, of course. You know what was fucking crazy? You know what everybody else thinks was crazy, at least? You having him number 3. So you're so confident everybody's going to be outraged at me. Maybe look out your window, buddy. You got some angry people coming at you. I like Alex Sarr. I gave him a shout-out. I just think you had him a little high.
You just keep throwing unnecessary digs at the guy.
Logan, I'm just making jokes on a podcast, man. I'm just a podcaster. Please don't hurt
bro,
me. I'm
when
just
Alex
a
Sarr
podcaster.
is
This is all I
freaking
have.
sweet, bro, I'm going to send Wizards fans your address, and they're going to mail you a bomb.
Well, I know that you know a lot of Wizards who have access to bombs and various terrorism devices and cross burnings and things of that nature.
Oh, my gosh. All right, bro. I got Cooper Flagg here in my 3 spot. I like I said, I think Cooper Flagg's destined to be one of the 3 to 5 best players on planet Earth. If people wanted to have Coop in the 2 spot over Ant, I would hear them out. He is so ahead of schedule. He is one of the best 19-year-olds, I think, to ever play this sport. The guy's giving you 26.5 and 4 on 48, 30, 80 splits. Like, he's going to figure out the jumper. He's going to be a really good jump shooter. He looks so comfortable getting in to the mid-range, into the teeth of the defense. If it's with his post bag, if it's pull-up jump shooting, his handle has rapidly progressed his rookie season. I already think he's got great feel and is a really good decision maker. And these are all offensive things where he could continue to progress and get better and better and better. He's already rock solid defensively. Like, he is an all-time defensive kind of prospect and player. Incredible versatility. He's a really good rebounder. He's a really good athlete. Like, you know what you're getting defensively. I think the big question is just how much better does he get offensively, and I think you're going to be looking at a guy that I think at his apex, I think Cooper Flagg is going to be better than Jason Tatum at his apex. That's my prediction, and that's what I expect out of Cooper Flagg. I think he is going to be a more refined, better version of Jason Tatum. And Tatum's a really good offensive player, but the distinction I would make is I think Flagg is going to be a better scorer and more reliable, right? As much as I like Tatum, as much as I give him the Tatum comp because Tatum is such a complete basketball player, and I think like him, Flagg is going to be complete, but Tatum can disappear sometimes offensively as a scorer, and I think Coop is going to be, I don't know if Coop is going to be as good of a playmaker. I think he will be eventually. That may come later as he gets older. That's normally what you see with young wings. As they get older, they become better playmakers. But I'm 100% confident that Coop's going to be a better scorer and a more reliable scorer than Tatum.
You have more confidence? I think that that's the other way around. I think there's a real chance that he's better as a scorer than Tatum because I've been so impressed. But, I mean, I do think, like, the combination of ball handling, elite three-point shooting that Tatum has, that's very conducive to, like, reaching the upper echelons of scoring. Those are two, I mean, significant questions still about Flagg. He's already a super effective scorer. When it comes to passing, what Flagg is doing at 19 is, like, fucking mind-blowing.
Oh, I mean,
the fact that he's a legitimately good passer, Tatum was, like, a 1.5 assists a game when he got into the league. That's where I think
I'm not comparing.
Flagg is so crazy ahead of schedule. I think, I mean, you have to expect, if you think he's going to be a better scorer than Tatum, I don't know why you wouldn't expect him to be a better passer because he's way more ahead of schedule as a passer.
I just think he's going to be better. I think he's going to be a better version of the best version of Jason Tatum. I think he's going to be better.
Sure.
I said that when Coop was coming out, and I know that wasn't a lot of people made that comparison, but that's what I see for him. I think he's just going to be better than Tatum ever was. But I do think he's ahead of schedule. What I mean is I'm not comparing where Tatum was at the same age as Flagg. I'm saying where Tatum is at as a playmaker is really, really high, and I think that's a really good decision maker and playmaker and runner of an offense. If Coop gets there, I'm going to be very impressed. I agree with you, and I don't think that's a hot take that he's way further ahead of schedule than where Tatum was at the same age.
Yeah, it was just surprising to me that you said that because it's like, if you ask me, okay, what are you more confident in, that Cooper Flagg scores 30 points per game on like plus 4% true shooting like Jason Tatum did, or that Cooper Flagg is going to, surpass Tatum's peak playmaking passing value, right, and be a 7 assist a game guy or whatever, I would definitely choose the latter.
I just think Tatum has those has those lulls. It's either as a jump shooter. I think Flagg's going to be able to I think Flagg's just going to be a better scorer. I think he's going to be better out of the post. I think he's going to be able to get downhill more at a better rate. Like, Coop is one of the best 19-year-olds that I've ever seen play the game. And
brother, he's one of the best 19-year-olds to ever play the game.
So I have no issue if anybody wanted to have Coop at number 2. Number 2 just happens to be Anthony Edwards, and I think he is one of the most insane physical freaks I've ever seen play this game. And I just love Anthony Edwards. So I couldn't put Coop above him, but I would hear an argument for Coop at number 2.
Are you ready to hear the argument? I have Coop at number 2. I have moved him up. He was number 4 for me coming into this year when we did these rankings. I felt that he was the second best prospect I'd ever watched, behind, obviously, the number 1, Victor Wembanyama. Even slightly edging out Chet Holmgren, who I was so high on as a prospect. And when I say ever watched, I'm talking about guys who I evaluated in real time. And I have somehow been even more impressed than I expected by Flagg. So if I'm comparing him to Ant, like, I definitely think that Ant is a better scorer and is going to be a better scorer than Cooper Flagg. Like, I feel pretty confident about that. I just think what Ant has in terms of, like, the lethal combination of slashing and insane pull-up shooting, where, I mean, once again, I mean, he's 40% from 3 on more than 8 attempts a game this year. He's even added to his mid-range game. Ant is somebody you feel like he can walk into any playoff series, and there's a real chance that he gives you 30 points per game on, like, pretty good efficiency. Flagg, I don't know if he's ever going to be that guy, because I do have questions about the ball handling. I think he's definitely going to get better as a three-point shooter. Is he going to ever be somebody like an Ant or like Tatum, who can self-create like 8 of those attempts a game at like pretty high efficiency? I don't know that I see that. And what Ant has with like the first step in the half court, right, where he can just get by people, Flagg does not have that. But what I'm so supremely confident in with Flagg is the totality of what he's going to be as a basketball player. Like, Ant is somebody who's gotten better year over year, but there are certain areas in which Ant has kind of stagnated. Like, I do just want to see the decision-making progress with him. I think the playmaking has really flatlined this year, and that's disappointing. I would like to see some progress defensively. I think he's still an above-average on-ball defender, a below-average off-ball defender with like some major lapses in focus, who's just not impactful as a team context. And I just feel so confident in Flagg as a playmaker. I feel so confident in what Flagg is going to be as a defender. I feel so confident in his overall feel, his combination of on and off ball value, his rebounding value. Like, it is so easy for me to envision building a great team around Cooper Flagg in so many different ways. Like, he's just one of the most versatile basketball talents we've ever seen. I think he's one of the most sure things to be crazy impactful when it comes to winning. And bro, like, think about where Anthony Edwards was when he was 19.2 years old. Okay, that's how old Cooper Flagg is right now. You know where Ant was when he was 19.2 years old? He hadn't even debuted in the NBA yet. And before the All-Star break that year, he was shooting 37% from the field and 30% from deep and averaging under 15 points per game and had barely more assists than turnovers, right? Major concerns about shot selection and passing and like, is this guy a half decent outside shooter at all? Now, obviously, Ant justifiably went number 1. Obviously, Ant has become a great player. My point is, Flagg is so far ahead of where even a guy like Ant, a great player, was at that time, like blowing him out of the water with what he's doing already. Cooper Flagg at 19 years old, Logan, just having turned 19 over his last 29 games, is averaging 23, 7, and 5 rounded on 57% true shooting. Like, he is just on a trajectory in terms of being this good, this young. We talked about the historical numbers. Like, only LeBron has ever been better as an 18 and 19-year-old in terms of scoring production than Cooper Flagg. And again, I think that like scoring is just part of such an incredible array of basketball abilities that he has. So I've been completely impressed by a guy who I already had such high expectations for. But in that stretch, since December 1st, when I think Flagg has just really come into his own and has been playing like a star, honestly, for the last 2.5 months, 67% in the restricted area, right? An elite slasher with his size, really good rim finisher. But so impressive on top of that, the intermediate game, 48% in the paint non-restricted area, 44% from mid-range. With his size, with his strength, with his use of the offhand, with his very controlled pace that he plays at, he can get to those spots pretty much against any defense, like truly, and rise up and hit those runners and hit those short jumpers and just like barbecue teams in that way, in a way that is so rare for a 19-year-old, 6'9" forward. Like, it's just ridiculous. And then the 3 ball has started to come around. He's 34% from 3 in that time. He's getting the line at a solid rate, 5.5 free throw attempts a game, and makes those at a very good clip. So the scoring already really impressive. Like, it's very easy to see, okay, this big wing who's elite downhill, who's elite from the intermediate areas. I mean, if he can just stabilize that three-point shot, yeah, boom. I mean, that guy could be scoring 25 points per game tomorrow on solid efficiency. And he's 19 years old. He just turned 19. But then you also have the passing feel and the vision where he's always been such a standout, right? The ability to get downhill and still survey the court and make the reads and make the kick out passes and whatnot and make skip passes every so often. Then you have what he can do in transition, where I think he's an absolute weapon who can be even more unleashed down the line. And like, again, we talk about projecting, we talk about potential. Cooper Flagg is so damn good right now, and he is so much younger than any of these other guys who we're talking about. Like, I think he is going to be a really effective mismatch attacker in this league. He already is very efficient. He just doesn't do it a ton, but like the ability to play bully ball with his size, with his strength, his footwork, that intermediate shot making, I think he's going to be a monster there. The off-ball potential is really where I think we haven't even seen Flagg scratch the surface, because we saw it in college, we saw it in high school. Like, he's got elite cutting feel, right? I mean, he's got really good offensive rebounding feel too, but that ability to move without the ball, have efficient finishing opportunities at the rim where he's an elite above the rim athlete. And then I think the catch and shoot stuff with him is going to get so much better. Like, he was in the high 30s from beyond the arc as a catch and shoot player in college. He just had a really weird lull to start this year. I think we've already seen him progress there. I think he's going to continue to progress because his shooting touch is very good. I don't think we've even seen him scratch the surface, honestly, of his defensive potential. And he's still allowing 0.7 points per isolation and post-up defended. I think he is going to be absolutely stellar on that side of the ball. He's been just solid so far because he's a 19-year-old rookie who's being asked to be his team's number one option. Like, defense was arguably the biggest selling point for Flagg as a prospect, right? I mean, this incredible matchup versatility that he has, elite secondary rim protection potential, elite defensive rebounding, like massive vertical athlete, great length, good foot speed, ability to guard multiple positions. I just think even if he's never the scorer that Ant is, I think he'll be a substantially better defender and playmaker. And that doesn't mean that I think it's like not going to be close between the two. Because, I mean, I think the scoring gap between the two could be like pretty legitimate. I mean, Ant's already there. Ant could get even better as a scorer. But as an overall basketball player, I'm comfortable betting on Flagg. It's very close, but I just think you have to account for how young he is doing this stuff. What all these other guys looked at, like, at 19 years old, all the things that you can see Flagg getting better at, being as good as he already is, how safe, like how automatic his winning value feels considering all the plus traits that he has. And I'm good with him at number 2. I think he is absolutely flat out special. And yeah, I think like top 5 expectations, that's reasonable. That's where the bar should be for him.
Yeah, I mean, the argument against Dan, I would say, is versatility, defense, and playmaking. Those are the things that I'd hit on. Anthony Edwards is just one of the handful of most athletic players that has ever played this game, one of the most explosive athletes in NBA history, and one of the greatest shooters in NBA history. And the guy is peaking is in terms of efficiency right now, and I think he could even get better. 49.3% from the field, best mark of his career. 40.2% from deep on 8 attempts a game, best mark of his career. He's drawing 7.3 free throw attempts per game. That is the highest mark of his career. I agree with you. I think some of the playmaking leaves a little bit to be desired. That's like the final component of Ant. Ant every offseason, it's like Thanos adding a different Infinity Stone to his gauntlet, right? He added the finishing early on. Then he added the elite pull-up and three-point shooting. Now he's adding the mid-range scoring. Once he adds that playmaking, you're going to think he's a really complete player. But Ant is one of those guys that I don't know. I wonder if he's ever going to maximize that aspect of his game. That being said, though, he is effectively unstoppable as a scorer, and I think one of these days Anthony Edwards is just going to mow down the Western Conference and big dog everybody and win a championship. Like, I have best player on a championship team level expectations to Anthony Edwards. Last time we saw him in the playoffs, we did see Ant. He has some issues. The mid-range scoring and the playmaking were things that left something to be desired for Ant. But if he fixes those, I think wholeheartedly he can be the best player on a championship team. And if Anthony Edwards is never that, I'm going to be disappointed, but I'm willing to bet on Ant to be that guy. I have those expectations for Cooper Flagg too, both of these guys. If they don't, and it's tough, man. Wemby could be the Jordan of this modern era, or, SGA and this Thunder group. The West is dogged, and somebody might get walled off. Somebody's going to have to come out of this era and be Patrick Ewing and be Reggie Miller, and that's a real possibility. Who knows? Maybe this is a new era of parity where everybody ends up getting one, but those are the expectations I would put on all three of these guys, best players on championship teams, and if they don't achieve that, I would be disappointed. But Ant's my dog. Ant, every single season, just gets drastically better. It's something else, and he is the most confident basketball player I think I've ever watched, like, live in the flesh. That guy is irrationally confident.
Your aura rating, I see.
Ant's a dog. Ant has the most dog of any
Cooper
player
Flagg,
I've ever seen,
bro.
man. So
I don't know, bro. I think when you
give me
talk
Ant.
about figuring stuff out, like what Flagg has done there is so wildly impressive.
The difference,
what he did as a freshman at Duke, what he's done this year throughout his rookie season.
Athleticism, man. You cannot teach that kind of freakish explosiveness.
Bro, Flagg is an elite athlete in his own right. Like, in terms of functional athleticism
but
for
Ant's
scoring,
Ant's
okay,
like 101.
What about feel? What about defensive instincts? What about rebounding? What about size? What about passing?
I'm
what
more
about
so
all
just
these other
talking
things
about
where Flagg is so gifted?
explosiveness.
Yeah, fuck yeah, Ant's more explosive than Flagg. That's why I think Ant's going to be a better scorer than Flagg throughout their careers. I think Flagg is going to be a better basketball player. And I think when you talk about, and again, I'm not saying that like with supreme confidence. That's just my guess between the two. I think that they're close. But I just don't want to sell short how ridiculously impressive Cooper Flagg's basketball journey has already been. And like, Ant has been better this year than last year, but like barely. I mean, he's been a little bit more efficient as a scorer. He's added a little bit of that intermediate game, but like what Flagg has done in a few months in terms of improving his intermediate game and in terms of improving his poise, like all the different areas in which I can see him continuing to add layers and improving. And the fact that like you talk about Ant's dog, I get it. I think Cooper Flagg is one of the great competitors. And like, just in terms of his maturity at this age, such an insane basketball mind. I just think he knows exactly what it takes to drive winning. I think that he is always going to max out that potential. I'm so impressed by him and so confident in him in all of those ways. You know how much I love stars who do complementary things, right? That's really a theme of the guys who I value on this list. If it's Scottie Barnes on both sides of the ball, or Kon Knueppel, right? The ultimate complementary offensive player, guys who can deliver the value without needing to have the ball, who can deliver defensive value. And I just think that like Flagg is the epitome of a superstar talent who I think can be an awesome on-ball creator and then also do all these complementary winning little things. So, I mean, they're both obviously great talents, but yeah, I mean, when I think about the guy who I'm just like most confident in making it work regardless of the situation, Flagg is in such an insanely valuable mold as like the true do-it-all wing where I think he can be awesome at everything out there on the basketball court. It's just crazy rare that you see a guy like that, and Flagg is one of those guys. Number one, though, Logan, speaking of crazy rare that you see a guy like that, Victor Wembanyama.
Shocker. I don't know what else can be said about Wemby. I have once said that I think Wemby is capable of averaging 35, 13, and like 7 a game on good efficiency. He's the greatest rim to turn of all time, and you want to talk about mentality. Yeah. Wemby just gets it, man. I love how Wemby thinks about basketball and just approaches life in general. The guy is mature beyond his years. He has a very, very old soul, and I just think he approaches everything in basketball the exact right way. That guy is all about winning, and he doesn't give a fuck about anything else. He cares about the Spurs, the team, catching dubs. He is the most talented player, one of the most talented players I've ever seen in a body that has never existed once, with a kind of unique athleticism combined with that amazing brain. Like, Wemby's going to be the GOAT. This is not really a debate. And, like I said about these other guys, I expect them all to be the best player on a championship team, and it could happen for a guy like Wemby much, much quicker than we expected. If it's this year, if it's next year, if it's 2 seasons from now, like, it could happen in an instance. Wemby's going to be the greatest player to ever play this game.
Very possibly. I mean, if you put a gun to my head, I would probably say yeah. So there's nobody who can compare in terms of long-term potential in the NBA right now. Like, I don't think we even really need to get into it, but he's been even better defensively this year. I think he's already at one of the absolute highest defensive peaks of the modern era. He's been even more efficient offensively, and I think has refined his inside the arc scoring game and his shot diet to the best place that it's been at. And I mean, just on the back of his utter defensive dominance alone, is always going to be one of the most impactful players in the NBA, even if like he runs into certain offensive issues in a playoff setting against an elite defense this year. And then at some point he's going to figure that out because he just has so many scoring tools. And I mean, he is a very gifted passer and a very smart basketball player for his age and position. And I think he'll just get better at dealing with double teams and all that stuff. I mean, there could not be a better face of the NBA. I truly believe that. I think this guy is the perfect intersection of ability and mentality and work ethic, right? If we want to talk about, oh yeah, Flagg is a supreme talent who really, really gets it, right? Ant is a supreme talent who's an absolute dog. Well, Wemby is a talent on a different level from those guys who has every bit of the basketball mentality of like any great competitor to ever play this game. So I just think if you even consider anybody else, you are out of your mind. I think Wemby is going to be the best player in this league for a long time and probably by a convincing margin, and everybody else is just in a race for second. So as we've got everybody else in the freak-offs and LeBron, Steph, KD all in different ways sort of smearing their legacies, and Michael Jordan diddling kids, we have Victor Wembanyama, who gets in the All-Star game and fucking competes.
Dude, God
he wanted
bless,
to win that
God
shit
bless
so
Victor
badly.
Wembanyama, man.
Actually, bro, he is truly goated. If there is one person in this world who I would describe as goated, well, it's you, Logan. And then it's Victor Wembanyama.
Let's impeach Adam Silver.
We don't have the power to do that. But if Wemby leads a revolt, just know that I will be right alongside you, my brother.
We will be marching right behind Wemby.
Literally. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Hope you enjoyed this one. Let's recap these lists real quick, Logan. We'll go back through the top 10 and we'll see if the people want to revoke your list making rights again, or mine. Either one. We'll see. They could come for either one of us, but it's not a democracy. We don't have to listen. But who's in your top 10?
In my 10 spot, I have Kon Knueppel. In my 9 spot, I have Jalen Johnson. In my 8 spot, I have Dylan Harper. In 7, I have Evan Mobley. In my 6 spot, I have Alex Sarr. At 5, Cade Cunningham. 4, Chet Holmgren. 3, Cooper Flagg. 2, Anthony Edwards. And number 1, Victor Wembanyama.
I have, at number 10, Jalen Johnson. Number 9, Scottie Barnes. Number 8, Kon Knueppel. Number 7, J-Dub. 6, my beloved Evan Mobley. 5, my beloved Chet Holmgren. 4, Cade Cunningham. 3, Anthony Edwards. 2, Cooper Flagg. And number 1, Victor Wembanyama. We appreciate you guys tuning in for another episode of the Nerds Rank Stuff. We certainly enjoy this, and we hope you did as well. If you want to see our historical rankings, if you missed them on the top 10 passers and the top 10 scorers ever, you can go ahead and check out those episodes that we just dropped over the last week. And we will see you guys soon. You know where to find us. All our episodes are on YouTube. All of our video essays are there as well. All of our full episodes you can listen to across all audio platforms. And you can follow us across social, TikTok, Instagram at NerdSesh, Twitter at Nerd_Sesh to see all of our viral social media content. So with that, as always, appreciate you guys. I've been Carson Brabber.
I have been Logan Camden.
And this was Nerd Sesh.